normal.
The chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger roll, Atlanta.
Water towers can fly! Yes!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight down speed off. Bring in SCE off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.
What's up, everybody? You know what we always say when we spool down a static fire or testing stream in Starbase? We say if stuff starts happening again, we'll go live again. And that is exactly what has happened this afternoon in Boca Chica. It is 3:06 local time. You can see the tank farm is active once again, and it looks like we might be gearing up for another static fire test. I am Jack Beyer, video editor, photographer, whatever you want to call me for NASASpaceflight, and I am joined today by none other than NASASpaceflight actual founder, Christopher Bergen. What is up, Chris Bergen?
That makes me sound so important when I'm not. Welcome, thank you very much, Jack. And yeah, it's round two. 2 potential static fires in a day. I think we're getting some milestones now.
Yeah, I think the last time I can remember something like this is for serial number 9. And of course, Chad or folks in the back channel will correct me if I'm wrong there, hopefully. But I remember with SN9, they did do a rapid fire, 3 static fire test day, one of those days. And here we go. We got another static fire. Looks like we might be gearing up for in Starbase. So that is who is joining me on comms today. In the background, we have Michael Baylor, as always, who is doing all the things necessary to make the stream work, and we thank him for it. Thank you for that, Michael. And, of course, out there in the field, as always, is Mary, Boca Chica gal, our very own Starbase legend. And I believe she's going to be working on spooling up a feed as well. But as you can see, we are scrambling a little bit to get things going again, as it did not appear like this was going to happen. And now, well, suffice to say, it appears like this is going to happen. So, with all of that said, please don't forget how our streams work. We like to do a little bit of an interactive thing. If you have any questions that you want us to answer while we wait for this thing to light its engines, you can always just type at NASASpaceflight into chat, and we will see that question pop up in some software that Michael has written for us. So please ask away with your questions. And right off the bat, we have got a super chat from Michael Tomlinson. Thank you for the Australian $15. Do you guys call them bucks in Australia? I feel like I've asked this before. I'm going to say $14 dues. Thank you so much for the support, Michael Tomlinson. So, Chris, 2 static fires in a day.
Yeah,
I
was just laughing at dollar dues. Yeah, it's crazy because we were looking at the roadblock. We were all expecting the roadblock to open so that the cars could go back to the pad. Next thing we know, there's people going, the tank farm activity's picked up again. And we're all like, really? The second one? Because that's what people do, well, maybe not appreciate, is that we are all basically just guessing a lot of times when we're watching, observing, checking to see what's happening, as opposed to SpaceX tweeting, we shall now go for a second static fire attempt with Starship at Ship 20. They don't do that. They literally don't do that. So you're all basically observations and just checking things. And the roadblock was a big indicator. It was not reopening for some reason. And then the tank farm picked up. So we may get a second static fire. I mean, there's a point here. Elon's been liking our tweets all morning. And like we're thinking, well, maybe he might give us a clue about the static fire test, see how it went. He's not said anything. So maybe they're just going for 2 in a day, just as a milestone. Maybe they weren't all that happy with the first one. They want to redo it and get the better data from it. You never know, so we'll soon find out. But if they go for the second static fire test, it's going to be an exciting day because it's the holiday period. We're not getting launches or anything like that. It's good to get some static fire testing.
Yeah, why not? More data is more better. I know I always say that, but I say it because it's true. And to your point about they might not be happy with that first static fire, that's interesting to me because we were remarking on that first stream that we were about basically how quick that first firing was, and perhaps it was aborted before they got the engines up to full power, or they got the data they wanted, or this is completely speculation on my part, but Perhaps that is necessitating another test. Perhaps they just want additional data, and maybe it'll be a different number of Raptors. We were unsure if we saw a full 6-engine static fire on that previous test this morning, so this could very well be a different configuration. The morning test could have been from the header tank. This could be from the main tanks. This could be a different number of engines. So yeah, basically, good old-fashioned tank watching going on here. We get to see Ship 20 become active again, become frosty again, and maybe even static fire again. And look at this. Looks like we've got a feed from Mary spooled up. Thank you so much to Mary for being out there in the field. Hopefully I'm not wrong, and this is not a robot feed. I think
this is Mary because he's quite personal this way. This looks. You tend to see with Mary's views, it just tends to look a little bit different for some reason. It's almost like, oh, that's definitely Mary kind of thing, you know. So
yeah, right.
I'm wondering if it was. We're back to the bot now, right?
Yep. Now we're on a robot once again. Good old robots. Don't have to feed them. Don't have to house them. At least not. Well, maybe I don't know. I don't feel qualified to speak on robots. That's more of DOS's job, I suppose. Really quick, Renato, thank you for the support. Really appreciate that. Taylor Van Camp, thank you so much for the support. They say, round 2, fight. I love the work. Keep it up. Going to KSC in March. Where else should I go? What else should I go and check out? Hope everyone else is having a wonderful day. That is a tough question. I am not a Florida resident, at least not anymore, thank God. But but yeah, that is a good question for some of our Florida residents who are regulars on the streams and whatnot. So I will defer your question to them. DM me, dare I say, DM me on Twitter. And if I get good answers from them, I'll pass them on to you. How about that? Or if you're on our Discord, feel free to ask away on our Discord. I'm sure you'll get lots of good suggestions.
My only experience of Florida is watching Miami Vice. I have no clue. It's like, is it really that hot and sunny all the time? Then Julia Bergeron sort of like tweets this like stormy picture. I'm thinking, that's not in the brochure. That's different.
I mean, you got to think of Home Alone 2, I think it was, where the family goes to Florida and it just rains the entire time, which can be Florida at times. But yeah, I mean, it's Florida is definitely Florida. Very hot, very covered in alligators. Watch out for the gators.
I got told off by saying I'd love to pat a gator when I go to KSC and just sort of like if I see one, just give it a pat on the head because it looked quite cute. I was told I would lose my arm. Pretty sharpish.
That might even be illegal. I'm not sure if it's, if it's even legal to do, because that it might count as molesting the wildlife. Sure enough. I mean, even though it's going to take your arm and be very happy about it. Let's see. And Michael Tomlinson again. Thank you, Michael. You're blowing up our super chats here. Thank you so much for all the support. I want to make more Australia jokes, but I don't want to come across as mean. So I'm just going to say thank you once again. We really appreciate it. So, Recondenser is active. Hard to see from this angle, but the tank farm is going strong. So once we get some more data points, we can probably get a prediction from our resident wizard here, Adrian Bile. I think it's Bile, right? I hope I'm pronouncing his name properly. Much respect to him for keeping track of the numbers and allowing us to a little bit better understand what's going on there in Starbase. Chris, I don't know if you want to take it away for a moment. I'm going to find some questions and put them in the queue and dot some I's and cross some T's and maybe take a sip of water so my voice doesn't sound so hoarse.
That sounds like a deal. Yeah, so what we're looking at right now is Ship 20. People always ask what's on the right-hand side because it's been there quite a while and people have forgotten about it, but that's actually booster 3. They chopped off the top of it and left it there. We all thought when we started dismantling it that the whole thing would be taken down and probably made into Tim Dodd's Cybertruck, which he's been waiting for. The Starship Cybertruck, which he's been promised by Elon will happen. So they've not done anything to it since. They've just left it there. We've all been speculating what they could do with it. They can't. I mean, one thing was to test it with the chopsticks, but that doesn't have any attach points. Maybe they could add some, I don't know. It's just there. It's not going to be used. It's not going to be fired. It's got no engines. It's just stuck there. So that's on the mount next to it. Now, also in between the two is the Raptor stand. That's what they use to actually lift the Raptors and install them and uninstall them and check them around. That's something we've seen before being used. This is the suborbital launch site. So the tank farm you're looking at right now is not the orbital launch site, which is what been a lot of people are discussing recently. We don't know the status of that, to be fair. We could join with the speculation, and it looks like educated speculation as well, but we don't know for a fact what the status is there, because that will need to fill up with liquid oxygen and liquid methane before they can do a static fire test with the booster. That's how we knew it was ship 20. So it was basically when they put the alert notice out to Mary, the overpressure notice, there was only one vehicle that was going to be tested, and that was ship 20, which we're looking at right now. When they do start testing booster 4, that's when things will get really exciting, because that's when they'll probably do a series of static fire tests. They'll probably start with 3, maybe start with 6. But eventually, as Elon said, they will go to 29. A full 29 Raptor static fire. That's going to be some noise. That's going to be something that's not going to be, you're not going to miss. It really will be a visual and audio sight. It's going to be something amazing to watch. And if it survives that, then maybe we'll still see that booster fly. There's still very much the possibility they may defer to a later version. The Booster 7's been stacked right now in the high bay. We've seen that being assembled as we speak. And the way the FAA is pushing its date back to February now to release the environmental study report, that would probably time in quite well with the option of launching with Booster 7 instead. But we'll see what happens. I think they've got a lot of ground testing to do anyway, so that will probably work out quite well for all concerned.
Yeah, and I don't know if viewers might remember, they might not, but ahead of Booster 4 getting all of its Raptor engines, we saw a deluge of Raptor deliveries to the launch site, and we do believe that Booster 7 will be supporting a 33 engine configuration as opposed to Booster 4's 29 engine configuration, and that also necessitates the use of the Raptor 2 variant, which we have not seen delivered to the launch site, or to the production site, sorry. So if it does end up being Booster 7, well, first they're going to have to finish Booster 7, and they're going to have to get the Raptors made and delivered for Booster 7. So that could be a reason why, 4 and 20 don't necessarily get scrapped. Or, I mean, by the time the FAA is done and these things are ready to fly, I dare say they will have been the test vehicles that have been out at the pad waiting, the longest time between their construction and their potential flights. So they're only getting more obsolete by the day, which is sad but true, and just a nature of how fast SpaceX iterates on its vehicles.
I'm just going to quickly put a pinned notice into chat. Pinned notice? Is that what we call it? Pinned post? Or whatever. A pinned comment into chat, which was the replay of the first static fire, because people have turned up, obviously been at work or whatever, and missed the first one. This is the second attempt if they go for it. I'm going to just put it into chat. Let's try and multitask by typing and speaking at the same time, which is not easy for me.
Nope, it is not. I can confirm. It is extremely especially if you're typing something different than you're saying. I usually end up saying what I'm typing or typing what I'm saying.
I nearly typed first chat replay. There we go. Right, I got it right. Just pin that comment. So if you missed it, there's a quick tweet version of it. There's a daily video coming later on today, which will have multi-angle views and audio and everything like that, which will look great, and people can watch at their leisure for days and weeks and months and years to come. You know what? I make a joke about that in years to come. I love going on our forum where we've got an admin page which shows where everyone's looking, in like what thread they're looking at. And every time I do that, there's always somebody out of the thousands on the forum at the time looking at like STS-123 flight day 5. I'm thinking, wow, that was like so many years ago, and people are just checking back on old shuttle missions that we covered on the forum. So can you imagine what it's like in 10 years' time from now? People checking back on the videos of what we did 10 years ago, of how this all started, and now we've got a city on Mars. It won't be that soon, but it'd be like kind of that thing, I look back at how it all started. So I love the history element of this. It's all making history right now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because it's a little bit of a slow motion history that's happening before our eyes, but do not doubt it. It is absolutely history, and it's only slow motion because we're watching it like paint drying. Like we're watching every little tiny minutia. We're going to look back on this time and I think be astounded at how all of this came together, how rapidly it came together despite delays, despite things like the FAA needing more time. Ultimately, I think we're going to look back on this time and really just kind of I think the word I would use for it is wow. Also, I'd like to note we're 14 minutes in and you've referenced the shuttle. I don't think that's our fastest shuttle reference, on a live stream so far, but it's a pretty good number. And I do have to yell at chat a little bit. I'm not seeing any shuttle questions in these in the chat queue here. So if you have any questions about the shuttle, I mean, I know we like to try and keep it relevant to what we're watching at the time, but we do have Mr. Shuttle on stream, Chris Bergen. So maybe you can tie it into Starship a little bit if you've got any shuttle Starship type questions. We got the guy to answer it right now, that's for sure.
I'll tell you one thing, right? I didn't even realise I was doing it. Normally I laugh at myself, like, oh God, 10 minutes in, I'm suddenly mentioning shuttle. I didn't even realise I was doing it then, and that was something that just came out just randomly, so that's something else. But you know what? But by all means, it's not actually that off topic, because I've always said, and some people disagree, but some people do agree, that shuttle is Starship is what shuttle wanted to be.
Agreed.
If you think about a rapidly reusable vehicle, now shuttle was never fully reusable. That's the difference there. But as far as large capability, fast turnaround, large launch cadence, that's something that shuttle wanted to be, but never achieved it. So
yeah, it's almost like
that in.
It's almost like what shuttle was intended to be from the get-go, and the sort of design by committee and compromises between Congress and NASA and DoD and the Air Force and all of that resulted in sort of a mismatch flying brickyard that never quite worked out. I'm not a fan of design by committee, but I am a fan of the shuttle, I will say that. Let's see. So really quickly, Thomas Schaefer, thanks for becoming a Red Team member. Really appreciate all of our members. As always, Anti-Proton, thank you too. Also became a Padrat member. What else do we have here? We've got Paul LaMadeline. Thank you for becoming a Capcom member. This answers a question we have from Anti-Proton about, hey, what is your Discord server? Well, I'll tell you what, Anti-Proton, Paul, your fellow member, because you just became members, thank you, both of you. Paul, as a Capcom level member, gets access to the Discord, and that is what is required, that or lifetime L2 access, which you can purchase on the NASASpaceflight.com website, and that gives you lifetime access to the glory, the hallowed ground, or servers, the hallowed servers, that is, or are, L2. Chris, explain what L2 is, for those people who might not know.
The history behind L2 is we started the site. There's a reason why we call the site as well, with a NASA manager and a shuttle manager, who were all on the old space.com. People who are my age might remember it, the old space.com forum, which was gradually falling into a pit of despair, because it was back before the days of proper moderation and things like that. People was like a free-for-all, fighting and shouting at each other, and it was bad. And we didn't have anywhere else to talk about shuttle and things like that at the time. So they all suggested, why don't, because they knew I was a journalist, why don't I start a news site? And I said, well, why don't we do it with a forum? At the same time, an old PHP forum, which costs a fortune on servers. It's not like Discord servers where they're free, or these Wix sites you can just build a site these days and it'll cost you like $5 a month. This is a proper homemade kind of site by programmers. And we said, well, we're going to have to make sure it doesn't sort of like just drain our costs in servers. And it's starting to get some traction with the community. So we started the L2 path, where all these NASA guys and whatever would speak in this special area. And for you supporting the site, you'd join that area. That was 15 years ago. Since then, it's grown into something like a repository, where all the main massive megabyte files all go, all the videos go, the big videos which you've not seen before, exclusive stuff. There's a massive shuttle stuff there. It goes back to Apollo, Gemini, the first days, and it goes on to the future stuff. The SpaceX section is quite big. It's all Starship mostly. It's a real good kind of like, if you can imagine what Patreon is today, it's like that from the old days, but it's a massive repository. It's like,
and it's stuff you're not going to find anywhere else, right?
Yeah, it's not like repeated stuff. It's not stuff you can find on Google. This is proper stuff. This is basically you sometimes see my Shuttle Sunday tweets. They're pictures I've taken from the L2 repository, which are usually like taken from the engineers who worked on the missions, rather than like what NASA.gov published. So it's that kind of example.
Yep, sure enough. I just wanted to take a minute and have you explain that, because a lot of our viewers might not know what L2 is, and L2 is absolutely an astounding place. If you're the kind of person who's thirsty for more information and more background info and more just content, go check out L2. That is an absolute really good idea. And it looks like we're joined by once again Ian Atkinson. What is up, Ian?
Hey guys, I guess we're here again, so that's a thing. Hey guys.
I tell you what, Ian needs a chat command, because I've got one for Jack. Here's Jack. There we go. There's a chat command for Jack.
Oh gosh.
I've got one for myself, because I'm quite vain. We need one for Ian. Definitely need one for Ian. We'll have to think one up for you, Ian. The voice.
It should just spam pineapples.
Ooh, I like
Ian, the voice Atkinson.
that.
Nice.
Awesome. But yeah,
Cool.
hopefully we see something cool today. This looks to be like something's happening.
Yeah,
So,
sure enough, recondenser's going. You can see it there on the left side of the screen behind those 3 black vertical tanks. You can see that plume occasionally not get blown away by the wind to the point where we can't see it. And it looks like a very windy day out there today. There's the plume. Hi, plume. Hi. So yeah, let's go through some questions. How about? But first, I'm going to run through some super chats. James Juries, thank you so much. They say, I heard that James Webb Space Telescope likes L2. Ooh, interesting. King,
Oh, nice little play on the L2
yeah,
there.
interesting.
We called it L2 for level 2 rather than a Lagrange point, so but we can take credit for that if we can.
oh really? I thought it was after Lagrange too, because like
No,
L2
no,
is
no,
far
no,
away
no.
from Earth.
No, it was for a level 2.
Huh.
Let's just retcon it and backronym it and say that it was totally for Lagrange too.
We were totally thinking about that.
Yeah. King, thank you for the support. They say hello. I hope we see another static fire today. We appreciate the support, buddy. Conservative Space Nerd, I'm not going to read your super chat out loud because Shuttle was better than Buran. Don't at me. Fry Jemmy, thank you for the support. They say, what is the chances Elon has an apartment inside Booster 3 so he can be close at all times? Hilarious, but I'm going to say 0. Thank you for the support. Nick, thank you for becoming a Capcom member. You also get Discord access. So enjoy the access to that when it propagates. Pop in, and I will Forrest Gump wave at you like I do everybody that I can. It's a fun place, our Discord. I absolutely love it, and it's so big now. It's almost impossible to keep up with everything, but that's part of what makes it fun. So come pop in our Discord. Say hey, find a channel that suits you best, whether it's gaming or tech or Starship itself. We've got all kinds of cool channels in there. And look at that Frostline go. That is a
Here we
vehicle
go.
that is being loaded with liquid oxygen. Look at it.
Yep, she's back to life.
Let me
I
take a
feel like-
screenshot and do a tweet.
Yeah, go for it. I feel like I can see the line growing as we look at it and talk. Maybe I'm just hallucinating here out of excitement, but oh man, this is a rapidly progressing situation here. Propellants being loaded into Starship ahead of a potential second static fire test here. So that is exciting. Chris Engel asking, please explain how James Webb orbits L2. I'm not qualified to answer that. It orbits around the central point of L2. It doesn't actually exist in L2. I think that is for stability reasons. I don't know. I'm not qualified. I am not qualified. Ian, anything? Anybody smarter than me, please?
Yeah, so L2, it's still something that I haven't completely grasped, but the Lagrange points are sort of like a point of gravity in the middle of space. If you think about it like a point of gravity in the middle of space, it makes a little bit more sense. James Webb, along with pretty much every other satellite that's in L2, orbits around that point of gravity in the same way that it would orbit around Earth. So it's not sitting at the point of L2, like right millimeters from the point of L2. It's orbiting hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands, I don't know how many, but a long distance away from the point of L2. And that point is relatively stable, but it's not completely stable. So you need to have propellant on board to slightly modify your orbit and keep yourself orbiting L2.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you for the answer there, Ian. And Michael in the back channel is telling me it's so it gets light from the sun. If it was in L2, it would get no sunlight on its solar panels. So that is why.
Yep, because if it was in exactly L2, which is exactly behind Earth, it would be in the shade. It would be in Earth's shadow, and it would be dead from no power.
Which we don't even want to talk or think about. Musical Wolves. Thank you for the support. They say, how many static tests did Shuttle have before it was the final design?
Ooh. It wasn't a final design thing. It was basically they did what's called a flight readiness firing for the new orbiter ahead of her first mission. And that's the only time to do a static fire test for the shuttle. The rest of them were aborted firings, like before STS-93, the famous Yikes, you bet, concur. The original launch attempt was an aborted launch attempt with about 5 seconds remaining. So the actual flight readiness review firings, that's a mouthful, put your teeth back in, there we go, right, is something where you last saw it with Endeavour, because Endeavour was the youngest orbiter. When Challenger was lost, they determined to use the flight spares they had remaining and constructed Endeavour. They took Endeavour out to the launch pad and did a 30-second firing with the SSMEs. and the vehicle was rocking backwards and forwards for minutes and minutes afterwards because of the twang, because it's off center, off axis. It was an incredible thing. I will find the video and put it into chat, but that's the version for shuttle for static fire tests.
Yeah, please do. That twang is so interesting as the main engines come online before the solids light, the whole stack sort of shifting, and then when it springs back to perfectly vertical, the solids ignite. And oh my God, shuttle was such an amazing vehicle.
Was there crew inside the shuttle during the flight readiness firings, or was it completely uncrewed?
Sorry, say that again. I was completely distracted by looking for that video. Say again.
Oh, no problem. Were there crews in the shuttle during the flight readiness firing? Okay.
No, there wasn't. They kept the crews out during the static fire. It was all automated because the old joke is you could launch a US shuttle without a crew, like Buran did, but they never did. They never took that option. The only reason they needed the crew, apart from everything else they do, was for the landing to flip the landing gear switches and flick the speed brake rudder switches. Literally, that was the only thing the shuttle could not do automated. But they had a box of tricks called it AORP. They had it on the ISS.
Look at
in
that.
The event.
Sorry to interrupt you, but that is a huge amount of venting.
Wow, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead, Chris.
But they had this box of tricks on the space station during the post-Columbia days, where if a damaged orbiter had caused what was called safe haven, where the crew stay on the space station until the next shuttle could come up and take them home, the damaged orbiter would be given one chance to land, and it would be basically to install this box of tricks called AORP, and that would be able to flick the switches in question, so it could have landed automated. But the most likely scenario is if the damage was that bad, it'd be tail first re-entry and destroy the shuttle during re-entry. Uncrewed, of course, obviously.
Like intentionally tail first?
Yes, intentionally tail first re-entry.
That's
the fastest way to destruct the shuttle.
Wow.
So everybody that wants to yell that Buran was better because it could land autonomously, so could the shuttle in some circumstances. According to Chris Bergen, shuttle better than Buran. Moving on. Veborn Hollis, or Vebjorn, thank you for becoming a new Capcom member. A bunch of new Capcom members today. We're going to have some new friends in Discord. Thank you for doing that and becoming a supporter of our channel. Joyce, thank you for becoming a Padrat member. And Eric, thank you for becoming a Red Team member. A whole bunch of new members today. Thank you so much, everybody, for all the support. So the next thing we are waiting for is the engine chill vents to start up, which will indicate that they are flowing cryogenic oxygen through the engines to cool them down ahead of firing. That is the next item on the checklist that we are currently looking for. Here's a question from oh gosh, where did it go? Here we go. Sassy Tripper Sniper. Sassy Tripper Snipper? I don't know. Either way, they're asking any lost tiles during the first static fire test this morning. Ian, you want to take that?
Yeah, so it looked like we lost one tile, at least from the cameras that I've seen. There may have been more because, like the camera that we're seeing right here, we can only see half of the vehicle. However, if you look towards the top of the vehicle on the right side top fin, you can see a little white dot in the black tiles underneath it. That tile fell off during the static fire. That is all that I saw. However, there may be more on an opposite side.
Yeah, I only saw the one as well. And like you said, there could be ones that we didn't see, but that was what was obviously visible to us with our eyes and robots and etc. Which is good. It's trending to be less and less each time. Here's one from James Flaherty. Thank you, James, for the good question. Is that they say, is there any point in flight other than ascent where Starship would use all 6 or 9 Raptors? I don't think so. Ian, Chris?
No, I don't think so. I think it's designed as we've seen it there with the sea level and the RVACs, as they call them, the vacuum Raptors. For those purposes, it's. I'm going to bring back Shell. I'm sorry, but I know. But the reason is people said about the engine on the back of the shuttle. The 3 SSMEs only fired during ascent, but they did use the OMS for the orbital corrections once in space. They did not relight the SSMEs. So there was a later few missions where they needed the extra boost of just firing the OMS during ascent for a few minutes. But it was not designed for that. And I think of the same synergy with Starship, where if you needed all 9 engines, let's say, for a part of ascent, then you've lost redundancy. I think they like the idea of having that many engines in case of engine out scenarios, which still allows them to achieve the orbital parameters they're going for. So I don't think there's ever a situation where they need them all at the same time, because that pushes their margins.
Well, I think again, this is not an official source, but I've seen people do simulations on Flight Club, which is like for those who aren't aware, Flight Club is an online spaceflight simulator sort of thing, not like Kerbal, but like where you can enter parameters and specifications, and it'll tell you how you get to orbit. People have done simulations on that, and you can't get to orbit with the 3 Raptor sea levels, I believe, or the 3 Raptor vacs by themselves. You have to have all 6 firing for at least the beginning part of the Starship burn, I believe. But then I think you can shut the sea levels down later.
That makes sense.
So that is more like the OMS assist. It very much is that OMS assist, but that beckons the question: if you have an engine out scenario, can they still make it in these simulations?
I think if you lose a Raptor vac, you're a lot worse off because those can't gimbal. Maybe they could have RCS compensating, or maybe light one of the sea levels to compensate with the gimbal. I'm not sure.
Oh,
Now, sorry, I'm going to get into a conversation with you, Ian. Is this something where it was based on the 6 engines rather than the 9 engines?
Yes, based just on the 6. This was a few months ago.
This makes you wonder if they went to the question of going to 9 engines for that purpose, of having some redundancy.
I could see that, yeah, because you can shut down the opposite one, or you can keep but still have the vacuums going if you lose a vacuum engine.
Interesting.
I love Flight Club for stuff like that, for figuring out little snippets of details and things like that. It's so amazing.
Yep.
Great question there from James. Let's see. King, thank you for the support. They say, take my money. James Jury says, what's going on with Firefly? Thanks for the support there, bud. Suffice to say, some news broke earlier today about kerfuffle going on there, but hopefully that gets sorted out and Firefly can get back to work launching rockets. Let's see. Rolf, thank you for the Capcom membership. Another new Capcom member. Oh my gosh, we have so many. Also, Rick Skinner, thank you for the support. And Matt Tihanika? 3 new Capcom members. Hang on, I gotta go into the Discord right now. There's a lot of people coming in. Gotta say hi to all of our new members. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for the support. Let's see, what else do we have here? Rough Riders Show asking, with Raptor 2, does this also apply to RVAC, so RVAC 2? I do not believe so. Ian, Chris? I believe RVAC is based on Raptor 1 or 1.5 or whatever, but not on RVAC 2, or not on Raptor 2. I think that is a separate development, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong.
Well, if I know that RVAC and Raptor sea level share a lot of components, obviously other than the nozzle, like the power packs on them, which are the turbo pumps, combustion chamber, are almost identical. So if Raptor sea level is replaced by Raptor 2, I could definitely see Raptor vac becoming Raptor vac 2 or Raptor 2 vacuum. I think that's probably going to be the case.
Yeah, I'd agree. What we're seeing right now are our R1s. They're not the Raptor 2 yet. Raptor 2's been in development and they've just starting via testing the sea level Raptor 2s at McGregor. We're yet to get the holy grail from Gary Blair, where he takes an overhead shot of a Raptor 2 on a stand that we can confirm is a Raptor 2 because they do look very much instrumented out, so you can hardly tell the difference sometimes with the Raptor 2s and Raptor 1s. But yeah, I think that's what they'll progress eventually. They'll do the same thing to Raptor 1 and the RVACs go to Raptor 2 and Raptor 2 VACs.
Yep. And also with Raptor 2, one of the main, there's 2 big points of Raptor 2 that it's trying to address. 1, getting a higher thrust engine, and 2, getting a significantly cheaper engine. And with Raptor vacuums, yes, you won't need to make as many of them. You'll need to make a lot more sea levels for the boosters and the ships. But if you're going to be mass producing ships, you want to have a cheaper vacuum engine too. And at the same time, why not have a little bit more powerful vacuum engine too? So just keep the vacuum engine updating as you update the sea level line as well.
Let's see. Organicus, thank you for the support. They say, I love multiple attempts in the same day. Great job getting on top of it. Thank you. A little bit of a scramble there, but we're live again and ready for a second static fire attempt of the day. Let's see. YOLO, thank you for the support. They say, what is happening to Booster 6? I see a lot happening with 7 and 5, but not 6. 6 was repurposed into a test tank.
Yep.
Ghost Rider Ryan, thanks buddy, stream regular. They say, hey, it's Jack and that British guy. I can't remember his name. Burn.
Wow.
Not famous anymore. Never was famous.
And don't forget Ian, of course, although that was an older super chat. So, let's see. Musical Wolves asking about an update on not launching tiles. I mean, again, we saw one tile come off with this morning's test. We'll have to watch and see what happens with this afternoon's test. The name's Dave asking, is Raptor 2 for Starship and Booster, or are Booster Raptors different? I believe they will be using Raptor 2 on ship as well.
Yeah, the Center and the Center 9 engines, soon to be the Center 13 engines of the boosters, are identical to the Center 3 engines on the ship, but the outer 20 engines on the boosters are a little bit different. It's not clear on exactly how different, but they don't gimbal, and they are started, at least they seem like they're being started up using the ground support equipment rather than onboard gases.
Sure enough. Good question. The name's Dave. Fairlin asking, will Starship have a crew saving system like the Dragon capsule has on Falcon powered by Draco engines in case of emergency? Who wants to take that?
Oh, I'll start by saying that's probably one of the things some of the detractors say quite a lot about. There's no escape system. I think the difference is design. They've obviously thought about this. There's clever people at SpaceX who now have got the most amount in the commercial sector of launching crew, and they will have considered the situation there. The caveat to all of this is that Elon has said openly, maybe an exaggeration, but openly given the indication that it will launch uncrewed for thousands of flights. So let's just say hundreds of flights. So that problem is not something you have to solve just yet. This is going to be very much shaken out until it's proven reliable before they even put crew on there. And when they do, I'm sure they'll have some system for it.
I won't incur the wrath of DOS by saying airliners don't have an abort system because they have engine redundancy and they have the ability to glide. So, but it is, I think, not a completely invalid comparison that you don't have a little capsule when you're flying commercial that lets shoots you out of the commercial airliner with a parachute and saves you in the event of a catastrophic event. So we just have to hope that Starship is extra reliable, at least for now, until we hear otherwise. Look at that.
Ooh.
That is Booster 1069 at the Port of Canaveral in the air, being lifted off of drone ship, a short fall of gravitas.
Youch.
Yeah, those are some ouchy engines, huh, Ian?
And the ouchy legs too. Every leg there is probably never flying again.
Look at, yeah, you can even see some damage on like bits hanging off. Wow.
Jeez.
I believe this is a live feed from either Fleet Cam or Stephen Marr.
Please,
I
fleet
believe-
cam.
Yeah,
Okay.
judging by the robotic movements.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Wow, look, every single nozzle is deformed there in some way.
That is a significant amount of ouchies for B1069. Hopefully they can get it cleaned up and ready for flight again without too much heartache.
Although the irony is, remember, let's all put into context, which I've done on Twitter earlier, and people probably thought I was just being like, oh, Elon does nothing wrong. It's like, the thing is, that's the 100th recovered booster. That's incredible. Everybody else, apart from Rocket Lab, especially when they're progression forward, and let's say Blue Origin with their suborbital flights, everyone else throws them in the ocean. Or even over land if you're China. So it's like, they're actually recovering these boosters. I think this one is a big ouchie. I think this one might either be not going to fly again, or they'll have some work to do to repair it, and the engines will be swapped out. But again, it's the 100th recovery. They they're achieving so much. And the ultimate irony is this is the first flown booster. The reused boosters, the flight-proven boosters, are the ones that have been the rock stars. And everyone was kind of concerned about these sooty boosters on the pad, thinking, oh, they're going to relaunch it. That's not good. They're the ones that have got the experience and seem to know how to land properly. This is a brand new booster, and it's like plonked on its landing legs quite badly, and then squashed Octograbber. So it's interesting to say the least. But again, 100 recovered boosters. People said it wouldn't be possible. People said if they did do it, we'd launch them up at thin air because of the upmass considerations. But no, they've proven them wrong, and you have to give them credit for that.
I said it on the stream this morning, and I want to say it again on this stream. This is an amazing thing that we are able to do. This is a view from Starbase in Texas and a view on the right from Cape Canaveral in Florida. And both of them are NASA spaceflight cameras. The one on the left is operated by Mary, if I'm not mistaken, unless it's a robot view. I think it's a Mary camera.
Mary.
Thank you. And the one on the right is a robotic camera. It's Fleet Cam. And this is something that we can do because of all of y'all's support for the channel. So all of these new members that I've been reading off, that's what you guys are powering, is the ability to do really cool side-by-sides like this. So I'm floored that we've come so far in our coverage and that we're able to do things like this. A little bit of a, inside baseball, but we're coming up on the end of the year, and it's been a crazy year if you go all the way back to beginning of December 2020 when SN8 launched. Going from there to here, for us as an organization, has been quite a journey, and it's just so cool and so appreciated that everybody has the support that has our backs and has the support and faith in us that we can do things like this, that we can bring you the James Webb launch from oh my god, I'm just gonna say French Guiana because I can never remember how to pronounce the word with the K. Kourou, thank you. And look at that, they're even spinning the booster for us. It needs a little bit of like da da da, like elevator music. That's the most I'm gonna sing on this stream, I promise.
Getting a nice 360.
Oh, yeah, we don't want to start the singing thing off again. We'll get people requests.
Really quick, Tony Parkinson, thanks for becoming a launch director. That is super awesome of you.
Wow.
It's one of our higher levels of support, so we really appreciate that. Just want to make sure we call that out and say thank you so much, Tony. Please enjoy all your perks. Trevor Sesnick in the chat. What's up, Trevor? Thank you for the support. They say Ian Fan Club, Endeavor's the best shuttle. Tay Fan Club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agree with the first half of that, but not the second half. Discovery's the best shuttle.
I'll let him off for the Taylor Swift, but I won't let him off for the shuttle. It's Atlantis. I'm sorry to say, but Atlantis is the Rockstar shuttle. Look at this venting now.
Yeah, we've got engine chill. We have progressed into engine chill, that part of the count that shows that they are flowing liquid oxygen through the engines and chilling things down so there is no thermal shock when those cryogenic propellants hit the engines. Looks like we are progressing further towards a static fire. Very cool to see. Really quick, I want to acknowledge all of our new members. We're getting an insane number of new members today. I don't think I've ever seen something like this. That's at least not outside of a Starship flight stream. So thank you, Credence, for the new Capcom membership. Thank you, Michael, for the Red Team membership. Thank you, Chris Watt, for the Capcom membership. Thank you, Iron Kerman, for the Capcom membership. And Nicholas Roberge, Padrat. Holy cow, that's a lot of new members. Y'all are almost overwhelming with the amount of support. It's so appreciated. And I mean, again, you get perks. You get perks at various levels. Padrats and Red Team members, they get the preview videos, they get the exclusive chat emoji, and then levels higher than that get other perks like Discord access at Capcom level and above. So that's what the membership program is. We really appreciate all of our members for enabling us to do what we do, and I just can't say thanks enough. What I will say, though, is if you are not able to monetarily support us, that's okay. Don't sweat it. Just tell your friends about us if you have friends that are into spaceflight. Or, hey, maybe it's the holidays right now. Maybe you're home with family, and you have a member of the family that you might think would be interested in this kind of stuff. Bring them over. Grab them by the ear and bring them over and be like, hey, watch this. This grain silo is going to set on fire.
Yeah.
But seriously, you do not have to support us monetarily. That is the job of all the folks that can. If you can't, don't feel bad. Please just enjoy the stream. Hit the like button if you like it, and maybe subscribe if you're not already, so that you can find us again in the future. So, I need like a soundboard. I've said this before. I need a soundboard because we have some breaking information from Adrian Bile, spreadsheet wizard in the back channel, saying about top of the hour. He guesses.
Ooh.
So that is the current prediction. We're going to keep our eyes down there at the base of the launch mount, because that is where we will see the water deluge turn on, which will be a very obvious sign. But before that, we expect to hear word of the siren. There's a 10-minute siren that is generally used, although it's not always exactly 10 minutes before a static fire. So that is the next thing we are looking and listening out for. Hopefully we get that siren happening and we get a little bit closer to static fire.
And I'm completely cheating by writing the tweet in advance in case Mary says the police siren's gone off. People go, Chris, you typed that tweet so fast. I'm thinking, yeah, that's right.
I'm able to be proactive or smart enough to pre-write tweets like that. I wish I was. Often, after after I take a photograph of something launching, I'll be sitting there shaking from adrenaline trying to post a picture. I'm like, well, what do I even say? It's like, dum-dum, spend some time and pre-write a tweet.
The fun thing is, in my day job in the mainstream media, it's a case of you write two versions of copy. So if something breaks, you've got both angles, and sometimes the news sites they publish the wrong one, and you have to like retract it within seconds. Thinking, oh no, what have I done?
It's like when presidents are sick or ill or something.
Yeah.
They like write up different versions of the situation. I get that. Oh my gosh! Every time I look, there's more members. Glenn Pearson, launch director. Again, thank you so much to all of our launch directors and flight engineers. Those are our two higher levels of support, and we really, really appreciate what y'all are doing for us. Alfie Walker, thank you for the Capcom membership. George, thank you for the Red Team membership. Aaron Myers, Capcom. Zeta Infinite, Capcom. Will Smith in the Wild Wild West, thank you for the Red Team membership. I'm going to date myself with that reference. Neil Anderson, thank you for the PadRat membership. Zachary Silk, thank you for the PadRat membership. This is an insane amount of member support. Siren!
Siren.
Right, here we go. Siren time.
That lines us up for about the top of the hour.
Can I suggest a t-shirt that says Siren Time for the store? Oh, cool. So we're getting closer. Sure enough, seems like another static fire here is imminent.
Awesome.
And there's a tweet.
Nice. Yeah, that was quick. How'd you do that so quick,
Yeah,
Chris?
that's quick,
How did I
Chris.
do that so quickly? Well, Jack, I'm such a fast typer. It's professional, blah, blah, blah.
That's excellent. Here we can see a robotic view of Ship 20 on Pad B getting ready to fire up its engines for a second time today. Relatively unprecedented type of test. I think the only time we've seen a multiple static fire test in a day situation was serial number 9, unless I'm just wildly incorrect, in which case somebody please correct me. Koala Bear, wow, launch director membership. Again, thank you so much. And Kenneth Herrera, Red Team membership. Thank you so much.
I'll tell you what, Jack, you explain it far better than I ever do. And that's why this is all coming in now. When I mention it, they get one. But it's really important because the way we monitorize all this to make sure we can afford all these bots and all these cameras, all these people, all this stuff that we do to bring this to you is because of that support. It really is. It literally would not happen. We're not owned by a big company, big publishing house or anything like that. We're independent. And it really is important. We could not survive. Well, we could not do any of this without that support. So it's so important and very much appreciated. But as Jack said, if you can't afford to do it, it's not anything you can't help with. You can click like, you can subscribe to it. It all helps the algorithm. They're all free. So that's literally, please do not think you're in any way inferior by not being able to support financially, because I know a lot of people can't do that, especially this era. So anything, you being here is literally helping. So Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, it's a common comment that we see. How can we support you? I can't support you with money, but how can I help or something like that? And it's appreciated. And really, I just want to underscore that once again. You do not have to help us monetarily, but those of you that do are helping us bring this coverage around the world to everybody that can or can't support us monetarily. And that's an amazing thing. It's like a giant distributed network of folks getting this done. And absolutely, 100%. No way we would be able to do what we do without the support of all of you members. So thank you so much. Again, I look over at the panel again, and here, Mike M., launch director. Holy cow. Thank you so much. Robert Krober, Capcom member. Awesome. Modern Dice Gaming, Red Team member. No, sorry, PadRat member. I mean, I'm floored right now. I have no idea what we're doing right now, other than trying to bring you guys informative discussion and views of Starship. And I'm flabbergasted that you like it so much. I'm just so honored for the support, and I'm excited for what we can do for you guys in 2022. It's going to be an amazing year with a bunch of really awesome milestones. So, getting really close to static fire. Of course, we're going to shut our mouths when we see that water deluge turn on, or when we get indication that we are about to see a static fire. So we will be able to hopefully hear that Raptor roar. Don't fret. We will stop flapping our gums, mostly me.
Mostly me, because I give like 10-minute answers. So I want to really make sure I don't talk through this.
And we've got a giant queue of super chats. I've been thanking the members a lot. I do want to thank the super chatters a lot as well. We really appreciate all the types of support. It's just impossible to read all of these off and not talk over what's happening. So I just got to say thank you to everybody that's been doing the super chats. I will be able to read through some of those here after the static fire test. So thank you for your patience, and thank you again to all of our supporters on this stream. It's heartening. It's incredibly heartening that y'all like what we do, and just makes me want to mash the gas pedal even more. Cool. So if you are just joining us, this will be the second static fire test for Ship 20 today. We do not know how many engines were used on the first static fire. We do not know how many will be used on this static fire. We are sort of in a wait-and-see type configuration with our eyeballs, and hopefully we get some flamey bits coming out the end there shortly.
And like we saw in the first static fire test today, one of the signs that testing is like pretty much imminent is water deluge, which turned on about 30 to 45 seconds prior to ignition.
Yep. Yeah, and we had a really, really good view of it, which sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, given how the condensation might get blown around by the wind. Sometimes it sort of just goes straight down and settles at the base of the pad, obscuring our view. So we will have to wait and see, but it looks like we're going to have a good view of that deluge starting up. So thank you again to Mary, our very own Boca Chica legend, out there every single day, spooling up the camera feed so that we get these insanely stellar views. So thanks again to her for being out there and doing what she does, day in, day out, rain or shine, holiday or not.
Yep.
Just absolutely phenomenal work that she does, bringing us these views. We would not be here in the same way that we wouldn't be here without support of our members. We would not be here doing this without Mary and her insanely huge amounts of large work. So thank you.
We wouldn't even have a YouTube channel, Jack, would we? You wouldn't even have a YouTube channel if it weren't for Mary. So that's
Right.
literally where I started. Right, I'm going to be quiet.
Right, so throw some thanks Marys into chat while we wait for static fire to happen here. Could be any time in the next 5 or so minutes, maybe less, maybe more, but that's what we are currently waiting for, an imminent test of Ship 20's Raptor engines. I'm like, this is always the point where I'm like, do I just stop talking? But we don't want completely dead air, but I definitely don't want to talk over anything. Digiphysics in chat says decaf coffee, Jack. Hey, I can't. I actually have had no coffee today. I'm just riled up. This is a exciting day of testing in Starbase. I don't know if you can tell if I'm excited. Ian, do you have any predictions on how many tiles might fall off on this one? I'm gonna say 0. I'm gonna be bold and say 0. What do you think?
I'm going to say 2.
Nice, Chris.
2.
1.
$1, Bob. 1 tile, Elon.
Although Price is right, I should go 3, shouldn't I? Just be sure I win.
Here's a quick one you can answer with a yes or no, Chris. Oli Rivers is asking, will you be going to West Country, UK for Virgin launches?
Yes.
Cool. I figured as much.
On the train, no, I'm not driving it. 300 miles.
We've got some pulsing of the engine chill vents there. I don't yet see the deluge. I could just be missing it, however. Coming up on top of the hour. All right, we'll definitely be able to see the deluge from this angle when it starts up. So keep your eyes at the base of the pad there. that is where you will see a large spray of water ahead of engine ignition.
Oh, and look at that lighting there.
It's gorgeous. All right, I'm going to keep going through here. If anyone sees the deluge, just yell at me, please. Gary, thank you for becoming a Capcom member. Appreciate it, buddy. Untitled Spacecraft asking, is it confirmed that Booster 5 is scrapped, or is it just speculation? I don't think we know that it's scrapped, but it certainly appears to be on hold, and they are moving rapidly into stacking Booster 7. So Booster 5 does not support 33 engines. It supports 29, the same as Booster 4. And Booster 5 supports only Raptor 1.5, and not Raptor 2. So that is just the case that maybe Booster 5 is meant to be as a backup for Booster 4. And it's not necessarily going to be scrapped unless it's not needed, which we don't know if it's not needed yet. We have to see how Booster 4 does in its test campaign.
Oh, did the aft flaps just move? It definitely just wiggled the aft flaps.
Very cool.
And all flaps. Forward went too.
Good catch. That's an interesting behavior that I don't think we've seen before.
Never,
Save
yeah.
for perhaps this morning. Just waiting for that water deluge to start up now any second. Keep your eyes on the prize. I think we're coming up on exactly 10 minutes from the siren, if memory serves.
Yep.
I remember there's always mini holds usually in these countdowns, so that can happen.
Yep,
Sure
and
enough.
the siren is never exactly 10 minutes.
Nope. There's deluge. Here we go.
Perfect.
Sure
Yep.
looks like that was an aborted firing.
Ooh.
So no flamey bits. We'll have to wait and see if they recycle or what they do next. But that certainly looked like they were trying to fire up the engines and instead aborted. Interesting. I know we'll get the question, how long after an abort can they go again? And I don't think I know the answer to that.
Now I'm going back in the footage, and it definitely looks like the sea level and the vacuum engine spooled up there. You can see the sea
Fascinating.
level plume followed by the vacuum plume, just like earlier today.
No depress yet from the ship. Vent stack is not venting. So we are in a hold right now. Ship appears to be in a stable configuration while teams assess the data and figure out what they are doing next. and we are in classic tank watcher mode where, if you ask me what's going on, I'm going to say question mark. A little bit of wait and see as usual in Starbase. There is an hour and 55 minutes left in today's window. They could always extend that window. We've seen them do that in the past. So that is the current state of play. We just had an aborted static fire attempt in Starbase after a previous static fire that appeared to be successful, but we don't have any confirmation of that earlier today.
But as noted, there's no depress yet. So there's a very good chance it's just a quick recycle.
Hope so. And I think I just caught Michael adding a bit to the timeline there on the left. We have just changed to try again, question mark?
That'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I do not know if Adrian is around right now, but surely he will glean whatever data from this he can and provide us with his usual insights, which I'm looking forward to.
And yeah, like someone was asking before, I don't know how far in the countdown they have to go back to during a recycle. Maybe they can go back to 10 minutes. Maybe they have to go all the way back to T-minus 50 or whatever they do. Very interesting. But yeah, I did go back and look through the footage that we got from the abort, and it looked like all 6 engines spooled up. So it looks like they may have been going for a 6-engine static fire again, like how they did earlier today, but we'll have to wait and see what they actually choose to go for.
Let's see. I guess while we're waiting to figure out what happens next, I'm going to go through our mountain of super chats here. How about? Just a second. Let's see. Paul Madeline says, Scott Manley had a great video on L2 this week. Thanks for the support, Paul. Thank you for the support, YOLO Kamikaze. They say, first super chat I've ever done. I know this question isn't about Shuttle, but what's happening to Booster 6? See a lot about Booster 7, not 6. I think we answered your question. 6 turned into a test tank. Outdoorsman Show, thanks for the support. Could Pad A get the adapter removed for new ships? Potentially. They can always take the adapter off, right? Nicholas Roberge, thank you for the support. They say, will Starship dock solidly in space or for refueling, or will they have an arm? Seems like too much momentum for solid. Great job, guys. I think everything we've seen so far says solid, according to your description. I don't know if that's an accurate description, but yeah, it seems like there is no arm planned currently, at least not that any of us have seen. We'll see what happens in the future. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Don't expect Starship to always look how it looks right now. Surely there will be further iterations before we get to a final vehicle, and even then, if you remember, Falcon 9 went through quite a lot of iterations before it finally got to its Block 5, full thrust, etc., whatever other things you want to append on the end of the name there, version that we currently have today. Tim Francis, thank you for the support. They say, Shuttle, woohoo! Thanks for the coverage, guys. All you do is boss. Thank you so much. The Real Banana, thank you for the support. They're asking if Starship can tolerate tile loss and still re-enter from orbit successfully. We talked about that a little bit this morning. I think it really depends on how many tiles, where they are in relation to each other, and where they are on the ship. Jerwa, always love seeing your name pop up, buddy. Thank you so much for the support. They say, have a happy new year, NSF team. Thank you. Hope you do too. Stephen Cook, thank you for the support. They say, money is to be divided thus. Burgers for the Yanks, meat pie in a balm cake for Chris B. I have no idea what that means, but I hope it's tasty.
I do. Yeah, that works for me.
Cool. Nicholas Roberge, thank you for the support. They say, well, Starship, again,
Engine
asking
vents.
again.
Yeah, try vents. It looks like a recycle.
Sure does.
Let's keep a close eye on that water deluge just in case that kicks up again.
Mary reporting in our back channel saying the drone is headed to the pad.
Huh.
Have we ever seen a static fire ship with the drone in the area before?
I
I
don't
think
think we
so.
have.
Right.
I'm not positive. I feel like we have, but I'm not positive. But really quick, Ian, thank you so much for joining us for a little bit here, and thanks for being on this morning as well. That's Ian Atkinson. You can find him on Twitter as, what is it, Ian_pineapple?
No, one word, at Ian Pineapple.
Thank you. I got that wrong. My apologies.
No problem.
But
But yeah,
yes,
it was great to be here, both this morning and now. Hoped to see two static fires, but hopefully you'll get to see a second one today, Jack.
we shall see. Well, thank you
Yep.
so much for joining us. And see, I thought I was clever and got my food going in a time where it would be after static fire, but now it is going to potentially be here right in the middle of this one. So we'll see how that goes. You know, win some, lose some. Small
Yep.
problems to have.
We'll see, but have a good evening, I guess. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. And I'll see you next time.
Thanks,
Ian.
Ian.
Bye.
James Jerry's, thanks for the support. They say Discovery is the best shuttle.
Wrong, but thank you.
Mitsubishi says Enterprise was the best shuttle.
Whoa. They went to space.
Yeah, I'm Team Atlantis for that. Ken B, thank you for the for the Red Team membership. Octavian, thank you for the support. Asking when booster static fire is going to happen. We just don't know. We don't know. They need methane at the tank farm, at the orbital tank farm, in order for that to happen, and they do not currently appear to have liquid methane on site at the orbital tank farm. DJ Level 3, thanks for the support. They say, I heard earlier that there's an L2 lifetime option with Discord access. Is that true? How much?
That is true. Send me a message. It's not actually in the list on the actual L2 join site. Just send me a PM on the forum, a personal message, or a DM in Twitter, and I will talk to you there.
There you have it. There is a way to access the Discord without doing the recurring monthly YouTube membership. If you want to do sort of a one-time payment, that is another way to get in there. And you get L2 lifetime access, which, I mean, come on. How can you not love that? Infinite Quantum Infinity says part of my lost bet to Barry West at 420 would launch before 12/13/2021. I guess they had to bet. They bet somebody that they would super chat, I suppose. Well, thank you for the support. John Michael, thank you for the support. Asking about heat shield tiles on the first static fire. Yeah, we saw at least one fall off. I don't think we saw more than that, but that doesn't mean more than that didn't fall off. That's just what we saw. Bjorn, again, thank you for the support. They say great coverage as always. Chris Walton, thank you for the support. Asking if there's anything that tracks deployment status of James Webb. If there is, I'm not aware of it. I'm sure there is, though. Chris B, are you aware of any such thing?
There's a NASA website which is basically showing where it's located. It doesn't give too many details, but I would say follow NASA James Webb Space Telescope on Twitter, and they are providing all the milestones as they happen during the deployment sequence.
Yeah, and you better believe if you follow Chris B, NASASpaceflight Actual on Twitter, you will see any major updates that occur in that respect.
Yep, I'll retweet them.
Nope.
I'll do what? I'll retweet them. That's what I'll
It'll
do.
forever be known as retweeting. It's way better. Oh, man. Double Diamond Railroad, thank you for the support. Sneezy Ferret, thank you for the support. They say 2 static fires in one day. Me and my ferrets were war dancing and duking with excitement. I don't know what that means, but I assume it's ferret things. That's adorable. Lars, thank you for the support. They say thanks for doing this. Alexander Dukes, thank you for the support. They thank us for our work. GQ Gabriel Quintero, thank you for the support. Mr. Rainbow Butterfly, thank you. Zachman, thank you. Green Tech Fusion Solar, Mr. Rainbow Butter again. Oh man, I'm steadily getting through these. There's like 3 or 4 more.
What I'm looking for is that water deluge. I'm keeping a close eye on it. I might miss it, but I'm looking for it. I'm sure chat will all shout at us if it happens as well. So I think this is a recycle. I really do.
Yeah, we could be moments away from another static fire here. So keep your eyes again on the base of that pad for the water deluge system to start up. If they do, in fact, go here soon, that'll be an incredibly fast recycle on the order of what, like 10 minutes or just under or just over 10 minutes? That's remarkably fast of a recycle. They didn't have to detank the whole vehicle. They didn't have to sort of reset from zero. It seems like they have reset from like 95%.
Everything they do is data points. Everything is bonus. People probably see the flash headline of a tweet which I probably sent myself, which is aborted static fire. They go, oh, that's a shame. But it's actually good data. Everything they're doing on testing with a live vehicle which has been prop loaded and it's entered the prime to do a static fire. Everything they get aborted or even test fires, they're all good data points. It all adds to the experience of the vehicle. It all helps them in the future.
I see people asking if there will be a second siren. I don't think so, but never say never. There might be, there might not be. It's sort of not a given that they'll do the siren again.
Yeah, that's a good point. I believe we've seen them do recycles before. They've not done a second police siren, depending on how far apart they are, the test and the recycle. So yeah, I wouldn't expect one as process. There might be one, but I wouldn't rule out the chance of them doing static fire test without it.
Always very cool to see the ship breathing the condensation like that. It's not really breathing, but it looks like it to me. Like it's fueled up, it's ready to go. It's sort of taking deep breaths before it gets ready to go. Watching for that deluge to start up. Haven't seen it yet. And I noticed Michael has removed the question mark from the try again item on the checklist.
Oh. Certainly seen some large vents from the bottom of the aft of Ship 20, which is engine chilling. There's a lot of those going on.
Yeah, it seems like every now and then it sort of does a big blast downwards almost.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating. Oh, to be a fly on the wall of mission control.
I should at Elon saying, can we have the mission control feed, please? Thank you. And just for chat, if you're new, he just joined. We paused talking quite a lot all the way through when there's a chance for a static fire test because you don't want us talking through the test itself. So that's why we're pausing. We are waiting for water deluge to happen, and that'll be the indication they're about 20-30 seconds away from firing the engines.
Sure enough. Ken Cannon is asking if NASA has a high-altitude observation flight to watch Starship reentry scheduled in February. Yes, I believe that is a thing that is scheduled. I believe NASA will be monitoring the heat shield for data for SpaceX.
The WB-57 they use.
The venerable WB-57. Such a cool aircraft. Gotta love it. It's one of my nemesis birds. I have not yet gotten to photograph one other than at like 40,000 feet on one of the scrub days for SN8. But one of these days, I would love to catch it coming into like Mojave or Palmdale or Mugu or something like that.
Well, ironically, the two pilots who've flown over Starbase in WB-57s, there we go, get the right number, they both follow me on Twitter, so maybe we can hook you up.
One of these days. It's like I said, it's a nemesis bird of mine. I've not been able to get it yet, so one of these days. what would be really cool is if we could do a video on them, but
Yeah.
that might require some more groundwork there. But I digress. We could be moments away from Ship 20 static firing.
One word answer, Jack. Super guppy. Silly or cool?
Cool.
There you go.
And that one I have shot. It's a beautiful aircraft. Still watching for that water deluge to activate. It's 4:20 right now, which would be hilarious if they static fired. But it seems like we're going to miss that opportunity as the deluge is not on and we're coming up on 4:21.
Where we stand, there's no deluge yet, but also, importantly, no depress vent. This is still active.
Oh yeah, 100%. We are still progressing towards a static fire. Or at the very least, we're in a hold. But certainly looks like we are getting ready to see another attempt at a static fire here. All right, Chris, I'm going to go through some more questions. Why not? And if you see that deluge turn on, you just interrupt me right away and let me know in case I miss it.
Pressure. Yeah, go for it.
Martin asking, do we know that Raptor 2 does not have a common mount with Raptor? I think that is correct. As far as I know, there's a different mount for Raptor 2 than Raptor 1, meaning Raptor 2s are not compatible with a vehicle built for Raptor 1. Could they adapt them? I'm not sure. Am I even correct? Also not sure, but that's my understanding. Trevor's asking what your favorite kind of horse is, Chris. One word, or one name. What's your favorite type of horse?
Frisian. Yeah, they're intelligent, huge horses.
I said one word. I said
Sorry.
one word.
Frisians.
Oh, that was amusing.
One word. You asked me about horses. One word.
I said earlier on stream that my voice was getting hoarse, and I expected you to go on a horse rant, but you didn't. I was slightly disappointed. Yeah, like you said, vehicle isn't depressing. It appears in a steady state.
It's kind of hard to check for the deluge when they do that large engine vents. I am closely watching though.
Yeah, I think we'll see it.
Yeah. The wind's blowing the right way, that's helpful.
Nick is asking, do those plumes under Starship that we're talking about flow through the engines, or are there other vents under the skirt? I want to say they flow through the engines, but I'm not positive about that.
I want to say that as well. But again, maybe we could see some close-up videos maybe from Elon later.
That would be great. I still am mind blown over the thrust vector control video he posted of Booster 4. That was just utter madness. such a cool video, and whoever's idea it was to stick a camera dead center pointed directly vertically up at the engines for that test, I want to shake their hand because that was an amazing shot.
Yeah, what you saw in that tweet was thrust vector control. That's how they gimbal the engines. That's how this rocket steers when it goes uphill. And downhill, in this case.
So cool how the vapor gets sort of held back a little bit by the flaps and then, you know, cascades as it I don't even know how to describe this phenomenon, but it's beautiful. There's like an eddy where the vapor is getting trapped where there's not wind, and then it hits where there's wind and it gets blown to the left there. Just super cool to see.
It looks like it's pulsing the trivent, so that might be a good sign. Definitely saw some pulses then.
Yeah, it used to be that those were a really reliable indicator that we were seconds away. And I think that their behavior has changed a little bit, but still worth noting nonetheless.
And again, we're being quite quiet because we don't want to talk about any static fire test if we missed a deluge or anything like that. Normally we talk all the time. If you're new.
Yeah, you guys know. Especially when you get a Chris and me stream. We'll just flap our gums about any old thing. Raw Ender 22 says there is a date for chopstick testing. Not that I'm aware of. I don't think that's been publicly announced by anybody. We'll just have to wait and see those catch arms fire up when they're ready to be fired up. I do wonder. Yeah, right. I do wonder if they'll test them with booster 4 on the pad, or if that's a piece of, you know, part of the flow that's going to have to change, and they're going to have to pull it off the pad ahead of any sort of chopstick testing. That's sort of a question in my mind. But as of right now, we don't know when or if that's going to happen. Just a matter of when SpaceX is ready to do it.
So again, where we stand right now is we've got a very frosty vehicle. It's prop loaded. It looks like it's gone through engine chill. It looks like it's gone through the tri-vents. The police sign was sounded earlier, so we know that's happened. We are now just waiting for the deluge, which is our indicator of 20 to 30 seconds to go before a static fire test. It certainly looks like it's recycling now, not just an abort and a depress and end of testing. This is a recycle, and they're going to try again.
Sure enough. OOC is asking why they connected B4 to the crane again. I don't think we know. It's just they did it. We'll have to see what happens next. So right now, Starship 20 is loaded with liquid oxygen and liquid methane. It appears to be in a stance where it is ready to fire its engines again, or getting ready. And we are just waiting to see if and when that happens. There's 17,000 people watching right now, which blows my mind. We only have 4,000 likes, so I don't know, maybe it's hard to find that little like button down there, but give it a click if you haven't already. We would appreciate it, and we would help would give us some help with the algorithm just to know that you like what we do. A lot of talk about support on this stream. That's one way you can support us that doesn't require throwing money at us. Derek is asking for the video link to the Booster 4 TVC check video. Just go check Elon's Twitter, Derek. That's where it was posted. Maybe one of our mods can throw a link in chat for you there. I'm busy scouring the base of this pad here, trying to watch for a little spray of water to happen so I can know to shut my app.
In fact, I'll find a video because I know for a fact if I turn away from the screen for a second, the water deluge will happen. So that might be the way of forcing this static fire test.
I'm being told by DOS in the back channel that one reason they might have hooked Booster 4 up to the crane is there's a cold front with high winds coming through this weekend, and so that might be why they've hooked it up. And we've seen them do that in the past a few times. So interesting there from DOS. Thank you. Appreciate that little tidbit of info.
And there's a tweet in chat.
Excellent, thank you. Let's see, what else do we have here? Untitled Spacecraft is asking, how close do we think the orbital launch mount is to completion? It's a really hard thing to answer accurately. I mean, we can speculate wildly and say a month, 2 months, but I don't think any of us really knows a direct answer to that. Chris, do you want to speculate wildly?
Sorry, can you quickly repeat that one? I was too busy typing, I can't multitask.
How close do you think the orbital launch mount is to completion?
Oh, you know what? It's a tough one because, and interrupt me if you see deluge, it's a tough one because it looks complete, but they're still working on it. And Elon did say it's one of the most complicated parts of the stage 0, as he calls it, which is the launch site, the orbital launch tower, mountain, Mechazilla, and all those bits and pieces which will make it enable to launch, host, stack, and catch the boosters and ships. It's so complex in comparison to other launch mounts, which are complex in their own rights, that it's something where you can imagine it not being completed yet. I think they're still doing some bits and pieces on it to probably finish it off ahead of the static fire test campaign with Booster 4 if they go for that. So it's an impossible question to answer, but visibly it looks complete. Internally and technologically wise, it might not yet be complete.
Yeah, and there might be more parts that we haven't thought of yet that they're going to add to it. Maybe like some shrouds for the legs, or who knows what. could be a lot more to be added, even though it looks relatively complete and functional at this point. Still watching for that water deluge to happen. A little over 30 minutes since the aborted attempt.
It's one of three things that can happen right now. We're going to spend the next few hours watching this, going, has deluge happened yet? Any sign of deluge yet? or they're going to do a depress vent, and that'll be a scrub, and that probably the end of the day because the end of the window's coming up before they could probably recycle it. Or three, they could slightly fire it. And that's why they call it tank watching.
Sure enough, we are watching 2 tanks right now. Well, really a lot of tanks, because there's the tank farm, but also Booster 3's Locks tank, and also Ship 20's various tankage. Let's see, Zatarus, thank you for becoming a Capcom member. So many members on this stream, it's absolutely wild. Thank you again to all of you new members and all of our existing members. Steve Warwick, thanks for the support. Henny Cornet, or Cornet, thank you for becoming a Red Team member. Mr. Rainbow Butter, thanks for the support. Afterburner, thank you for the support. No C, Fidget and Switch, Citrus. Asking has there been any mention of how much mass can be deorbited inside a starship? I don't think there has, but that's a fascinating question. I mean, we've talked before about a notional Hubble rescue mission where they bring Hubble home for a museum piece. I don't know if that's even possible with Starship, but it's certainly fun to think about.
I must have annoyed Elon no end by asking him that 3 times. I'm the last person to at Elon's, unlike some people on Twitter who just at Elon. I've had my breakfast at Elon. I've had my breakfast. I rarely ask him a question, but I asked about Hubble because a lot of people kept asking me, and he eventually just said yes, that they could bring Hubble back into Starship. So that was again an indicator of mass capability on return. But they would need lots of bells and whistles like a grapple arm and things like that, and attach points to keep it stable in the payload fairing. It's not easy, but I can guarantee you there'd be a large amount of people willing to fund it to bring Hubble back to Earth in one piece. That would be amazing, rather than deorbiting it into pieces.
I certainly would. I would happily throw some money at that. Let's see. Ian, thank you for the support. They say great energy on the stream today. Well done, guys. Thank you. That's Alex. What's up, Alex? Thank you so much. He says, I've told Chris in a few times in the past to have an L2 Afterlife subscription. I don't have enough time in this life to go through all shuttle content. That's hilarious.
That's brilliant.
Let's see. Essex, thank you for the support. Asking about methane storage regulations. I do not know. I'm not qualified. Matthew Martin, thank you for the support. Nick Caradrelli? My apologies. Saying thank you for everything we do. Super appreciate that support. Let's see, what else we got here?
I also appreciate the person who said we got good energy. I guarantee you, I do not feel like I've got any energy at all because I've been up since 5 and it's now what, going on 11. It's when Jack's on. He brings everyone else up. He's brought me up even happier. I think Jack is eventually going to have his own TV shows. He really is. He's that good.
Oh, fuff. I just get excited when there's rockets afoot.
It's infectious, Jack.
Great. That's what I like to hear. Louise, thank you for the support. I'm going to try and run through a couple more of these as we wait to see what happens next. I'm keeping my eyes on the deluge. Rest assured, if it fires up, I will shut up. Skull, thanks for becoming a Capcom member. Musical Wolves, thank you for the support. Asking, how long does it take to refill the water tank for water deluge? That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to.
No, I don't know either, but that is, again, it's the kind of question you kind of randomly ask as like an after-speech version of Elon's overview, which is due come up next year, all being well, early next year. Just randomly. Any other questions? I'm just randomly asking, how long did it take to fill the water tank?
Looks like we've had another commentator join us here.
Ooh.
Mr. Nick and Sweeney. What's up, Nick?
Hey, Jack. Hey, Chris B.
Hey, Nick.
Hello, NASASpaceflight. We are bringing me out of, not retirement, I guess. This is vacation time because SpaceX is doing stuff. What the heck?
They never stop. They never sleep.
Serves you right for
guess-
leaving for a little bit, Nick. How dare you?
I know. I leave for like 1 week and everything happens. And to be completely honest with everyone, I'm going to need like a little catch up here because from what I saw on Twitter, it looked like they did a static fire and they're trying again.
Yep.
They did a
Basically
static... Go for it,
Go on,
Chris.
Jack, you do it.
No, you.
All right. Well, basically, did a static fire test this morning. It was a very good, smooth countdown. It happened without any holds as such. Well, many holds at least. And then we thought that was the end of testing for the day. Thought, well, they've got it done early. Well done. You don't need a full window. Then suddenly the tank farm starts up again, and we've got this second attempt. They have tried. They had a police siren at T-minus 10 minutes. They did do an engine come to life, but it was just basically venting. It was not an ignition, so it was an aborted test. And then we waited for the depress vent. Didn't happen. And here we are waiting for the deluge to start again because we think they're recycling. But, of course, the depress vent could come at any minute, which means they're going to end testing for the day. But right now, the status is we're in a recycle and hoping to see deluge, which will give us 30 seconds to go before our engine firing.
And unfortunately, I'm a
Wow.
big dum-dum, as usual, and commented that, oh, wow, this seems like a really fast recycle. And here we are about 40 minutes since the aborted attempt. So that is the state of play right now.
Oh no. So you're telling me this is all your fault, Jack?
As per usual, yes.
Good. Well, at least it's not my fault.
Let's see. Nick Consolo, thanks for the Capcom membership. Bitmerkeezer, that's one of those names that I don't forget that pops up pretty often. Thank you for the support. They say, Elon, it is time to get a direct link between NASA Spaceflight and Boca Launch Center. Hey, we can all dream, right? Let's see. Bitmerkeezer, we got you. Thank you so much. Me's Underwater? Thank you so much for the support. They say there is occasional vents coming from one or more of the Raptors. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Sort of like a little bit of a blast every now and then. Coming from those. Joey, thanks for becoming a Pad Rat member. Stephen Pelter, launch director. Wow, thank you so much, Stephen. And Brian Owen. Oh my gosh, this might be the most members we've gotten on a single stream in a long time.
Wow. Thank you, guys.
And with that, I think we might, unfortunately, have to bid Mr. Shuttle goodbye. Mr. Shuttle, thank you for being on the stream and talking Shuttle.
Thank you for having me. It's it's a situation where I need to get a few things done before I get to sleep before I back up again for work. So I need to get off soon. But hopefully my departure will have someone at SpaceX watching this stream going, okay, we can fire it up now. He's gone. But yeah, thanks. I tell you what, as Jack said, that's a huge amount of support today on a relatively smaller stream than we normally do. Like, we've had the 300,000 people watching at the same time streams, and they've been crazy. But for this amount of people, the amount of support has been really humbling, really appreciated. Seriously, this is why we can do this. There's no hyperbole about that. It's why we can do this. But thank you, and I shall leave you in the good hands of Jack and Nick. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks, Chris. John W., thanks for the support. Jerker, thank you for the support. Not Likely says, let's go. Mars isn't going to know what hit it. Thank you for the support there, bud. Let's see. Joe Fisher says, well, again, first off, Joe, thank you for the support. They say, absolutely love the work. Some cool views. Some cool news from my dad, who did the oversized load that took Atlantis to KSC. He also did a load permit for Starlink boxes from Florida to Washington. That sounds like a cool job. Tell your Joe, tell your dad that that I think he's cool.
Second me there. That is pretty epic.
Let's see, Elijah, another new launch director. Wow, thank you so much, Elijah, and thank you yet again to all of our members, all of the new members. Y'all rock. Let's see, a couple more of these, and then we're through them all. Surprisingly, finally made it through. Thanks for your patience, everybody. Hero Dog, thank you for the support. Or Hero Doge, they say, what are they going to do with Booster 3? It's just been sitting there for the last couple months doing nothing. Why haven't they rolled it back? Nick, do you want to take a crack at that?
Yeah, because it looks beautiful. I know, Jack, you very much disagree with me on the photographing of stainless steel objects in the sunlight, but the more stainless steel that we can have to take pictures of, the better. So they're just personally leaving it for, photogenic reasons, in my opinion. The real reason is probably because they have better things to do than to drag a scrapped piece of booster back. But it is really confusing, to be honest, because they scrapped about 2/3 of it or so, and they just left the 1/3 remaining there, just sitting on a suborbital pad B, I believe. Is that B?
Nope, it's on A. And I think it's more like 2/3 are remaining, 1/3 was removed. And one more thing, I do like photographing stainless steel in the sun. I just prefer when it doesn't. There's not like a horribly blown out portion of the steel where it's like, deal with it. I'm gonna be blown out.
That's the best part, though. Like having the extremely bright light. It's like a shiny piece of steel, straight out of the Jetsons.
All right, agree to disagree. Although you got me with the Jetsons comment, fair. Andreas Ulrich, thanks for becoming a Red Team member. Jonas, thank you also for becoming a Red Team member. Y'all rock. Y'all rock. Austin DeSisto, what's up, buddy? Another person that rocks.
Hey.
Guess what Austin is saying, Nick? They say, hey, Nick, typing this from Starbase. Hope you're jealous. Glad to have you back momentarily.
Oh, my goodness. I got to stop and say, Austin, you were making me extremely jealous. I went on vacation, and Austin was like, yeah, actually, I'm going to go down to Starbase and take all the pictures that I can't do at the moment. So he is just making me jealous, sending me all of these pictures, making sure that I feel extremely jealous. So thank you, Austin. Appreciate it.
It's the way she goes. Seth, thank you for the support, saying, wife and I will be at Starbase in 2 weeks. Hope to run into some of you folks. I say that's a fair chance that you will. Just keep your eyes open. It's not hard. It's not a big place.
Yeah, and I don't hide very well. I stick out.
Let's see. Ann San, thank you for again the launch director membership. Holy cow. David Swenson, thank you so much for the support. They say, how much propellant and or oxidizer is lost through venting? It's not the kind of thing where like we would be able to tell you an exact number or volume or what have you. I unfortunately am not privy to that information. I don't think really anybody but SpaceX themselves is, right?
I don't know. That's for sure. I just take the pictures.
Ghoulie Gaz, thank you for the support. They say, how long to refill deluge water tanks after abort? I suspect they have enough in the tanks to do multiple tests, but I mean, they did do 3 tests with SN9 that one day, so there is that. Again, one of those things where I can't give you a number because I just don't know. And Delta 23 saying, we all cover SLS rollout. Thanks for all you do. You better believe we're going to cover anything relating to a rocket that we can, especially a large rocket, orange or not.
Yeah, and if it is an orange rocket, I'd imagine one of the Chris's would have something to say about it. I mean, just thinking maybe they would.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something shuttle, something Chris's.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Oh, man. See, of course this gets asked after Chris gets off the stream. Cole is asking, do you really think Starship point-to-point is going to be viable as a mainstream transportation system? What do you think, Nick?
Ooh. Well, I think it's all just a matter of time. If you're asking in the next 5 years, probably not. In the next 50 years, possibly. So I don't know when that will happen, but I would imagine if there's anyone in the world who can make something happen, as crazy of an idea as it sounds, point-to-point Starship travel, I think it's Elon who could make it happen. So we'll see. Give him some time.
I know you're a tech and Apple fan, Nick. Do you happen to listen to Accidental Tech Podcast?
Yeah, the ATP podcast. That is a good show. I have listened to it on occasion, but I will be the first to admit I am not up to date on it.
That is one of my absolute favorites, and one of the hosts there always has like well, on an infinite time scale, yes. Soon, maybe not, maybe. So I always think of that whole infinite time scale. Yeah, surely it'll be a thing, but perhaps not soon.
That's funny.
Let's see. Mark W, thank you for the support. They say, towards NSF robotic camera boat to anchor off the coast of 39A for coverage of Starship pad build. That's a wild idea, but thank you for the support there. Rest assured, we're going to cover Starship in Cape Canaveral and in Florida as best we possibly can. And Ghoulie Gaz, thank you for becoming a Pad Rat member. Oh my gosh, so many members. I mean, wow. Nicholas Rutledge asking, when they do a complete abort and no recycle, do they just lose all the propellant through the depress? No, a good amount of it is recycled back into the tank farm, and we see the methane recondenser go active, but then again, we also frequently, if not always, see the vent stack venting a significant amount of something, perhaps liquid nitrogen, perhaps liquid oxygen, but certainly it seems like they're able to recover at least some of what they put in, right?
Yeah, definitely. It wouldn't make any sense for them to vent everything out and not recycle it and reuse it, because getting things down to Boca Chica Beach is kind of difficult. It's a long hike down Highway 4, and so anytime they can reuse some of their consumables will help them in their pursuit of doing things faster, which we see today. They're doing two static fire attempts today. That's crazy.
Right? And yeah, it's like a 40-minute drive or so from Brownsville, and like that's from like the southernmost point of Brownsville.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good haul. Let's see. Here's one that I think you probably know the answer to, Nick. FMC is asking, what is the construction going on in Boca Chica Boulevard on the foreground? Like, what's going on Highway 4 right there? Some kind of road work?
Yeah, so they have been working on Highway 4 for about a month now. And not just a regular amount of work, but like a lot of work. Now, I say regular amount of work because Highway 4 is probably the most abused highway in South Texas, because that little stretch of Highway 4 has tons of steel.
Oh, I gotta interrupt you real quick,
That is
Nick.
a big vent. Look at that.
This looks like we might be seeing a depress of the vehicle. That certainly looks like a depress vent.
That's what it looks like to me.
Big sustained venting from both tanks.
Crazy to see how big that vent trail is.
I know, I always like to point that out. The ship itself is what, 60 meters tall, something like that? And so if you use that as a benchmark for how long that plume is, oh, it's quite big. And it has stopped, but that does not mean much. I'm also noticing how full that LOX tank appears to be, or at least how frosty it is.
Yeah.
I did not notice that previously.
No. I'm not quite as up to date on the venting procedures as Adrian is, so perhaps I'm incorrect in this assumption, but whenever you depressurize a Coke can or whatever, it gets a little cooler, so I kind of wonder if maybe that was part of the depress.
Yeah, that's totally a thing. I'm going to do a quick A/B test, and it looks like it was frosty like that before we saw that depress, so
Well, then even better.
Interesting. Another new development in today's testing. We saw a static fire earlier this morning. We saw an aborted attempt earlier today on this very stream, and we are now in another holding pattern, waiting to see what happens next. Hannah Jordan, thank you for the support. They say, thanks for the coverage today, guys. I'll be in Boca Chica in a few weeks for a Starbase vacation. Any good food recommendations for the area? I like Ultimo Taco. I also like, there's a sushi place in South Padre Island. I forget what its name is. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. But you can't miss it. It's like right when you come off the bridge. It's right there in that little mini mall right there. All kinds of good food in Starbase. Do you have any recommendations, Nick?
Yeah, I am a big fan of the tacos down there. You cannot go wrong with basically any of the taco shops that you see down in Brownsville if you're visiting. Mr. Taco's a good place to swing by and grab some tacos, and there's plenty of other little taco shops. But to be honest, I'm pretty boring and I don't eat out very much, so I'm probably not the best person to ask.
Fair enough. And looks like we've got the road closures up here with the classic picture of Starhopper and the Milky Way. Closure has been extended to 8 p.m. So we have
Lovely.
more time in the window. Oh, joy! So the show's not over yet, folks. Stephen Landgraf in chat says Mahi Nick. Mahi Nick, I think it's Mahi Nate? I forget if it's Mahi Nick or Mahi Nate, but that place is really good. There's also, it's like Dirty Owls or something like that, right there by Port, or right by Isla Blanca Park, however you say that.
Blanca, yeah.
Lots of good food all around. So enjoy the trip, Hannah, and thank you for the support. Welp. Closure's been extended. We got 3 hours in the window to go now at this point, 3 hours and 5 minutes. So as you can see from the checklist on the left, we are in try again. Is the current phase of testing that we are in.
Good old Texas tank watching. The road closure gets extended after a long day of testing, and you don't actually know what's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but by golly, we're going to be here to see it happen live.
Sure enough, and you better believe once it's over, we're all going to be very tired, and it's going to be a welcome respite from the testing. But right now, we're excited for testing, because testing means data, and data means good.
More data, more good.
More data, more good.
When was the last time, Jack, do you remember the last time we saw a double static fire?
I think, if memory serves, the only time previous was Ship 9. What's wrong with my brain? SN9 fired 3 times in one day. I don't know if we've seen another double fire in one day. We've seen multiple attempts in one day, culminating in a single one. Oh, nope, I'm being told in the back channel Ship 20's done it. I'm a big dumb idiot. So
Well,
there you go.
Yes, I don't remember that one, but there are a lot of these tests, lots to keep track of. Glad some people can help keep track of stuff.
Yay, back channel. Yeah, and I can see chat saying now, Ship 20 did 2 fire. Okay, my bad. It's hard to keep track of everything, even when you keep track of everything.
I know. I really, really appreciate everyone on the internet here that helps keep track of everything, because by golly, I sure can't. I was just say I just take the pictures. So.
You are the photon collector.
Ah, that's gonna be a good movie one day.
Let's see, what else do we have in the queue? The name's Dave. You must be new around here. They're asking, has there ever been a nighttime static fire? Well, there's a question I can answer correctly. Yes, there have been many. And they are quite spectacular. Robert Keeper is asking, did they pull Booster 4 off the orbital launch mount today? No, I don't believe they did. We were talking a little bit earlier. DOS mentioned that they have hooked Booster 4 up to the crane in the past when there's been some weather coming through, and there is some weather coming through this weekend, so could be related to that. But as of right now, Booster 4 is still on the orbital launch mount. Luke Dehan, thanks for becoming a pad rat. Appreciate all of our new members on the stream. It's been astounding.
Crazy, honestly.
Yep.
Crazy that there are even people watching this, right? Like, we're just all sitting around here in the lull between Christmas and New Year's, sitting around watching some water towers in Texas get pressurized.
Lol. What's a lol?
Spelled LOL.
Nice. Don is asking, why don't we see frost on the methane tank? Do you want to take that, Nick?
Yeah, so don't need a lot of methane, especially for these static fires. It's not like they're going to be filling it up all the way to the tippy top like they do with some of those nitrogen full pressure tests. So I'd imagine that they are not going to be using quite as much methane.
Yep, and there is a common dome that separates the liquid oxygen tank from the methane tank. It's basically like a giant bowl, if you think about it. At least from the perspective of the methane tank itself, it's a bowl. From the perspective of the LOX tank, it's not. But anyways, so they can fill up that common dome with methane, fill the bowl with methane, but not necessarily so much that it goes all the way and touches the tank walls and frosts up the sides of the methane tank. So, like you said, minimal amount of methane used for these tests, not more than absolutely necessary. So that is probably why we are not seeing frost up there on that upper tank.
And it's just standard risk mitigation. The less explosive-y stuff you have sitting around next to your oxidizer, probably the better.
Sure enough, just ask SN4. Gentry Walker saying, what do you think the thrust to weight ratio of that depress vent is? I have no idea, but that's a hilarious question. Max is asking, are there any lightning towers at Starbase? Well, there is the launch tower.
It's a pretty tall tower there, yeah.
I think that's
No.
about it.
I bet you what he was asking, though, was reminiscent of what they have down at 39A or some of the other launch complexes around. They have those big masts right next to the rocket with the big wires going between them. They don't have that at Starbase yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they built one day, because there is a lot of thunderstorms around here.
Let's see. Going through the question queue. Don't forget, if you have questions at NASASpaceflight, that way we can answer them. See them pop up in our queue and answer them. Senti is asking, why are they filling the LOX tank if only a slight amount is needed for static fire? That's a good question.
Honestly, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, I can speculate a little bit, but I don't know for sure. I think part of it might be you want the vehicle to weigh a good amount while they're firing engines.
A really good point, yeah.
And it's like you said, Nick, they don't. It's more about not filling up the methane tank full of methane, because that's sort of when you get explodey. If a whole bunch of liquid oxygen is suddenly catastrophically spread around the pad, that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. It's more bad when that cloud mixes with a cloud of methane and the stoichiometric ratio of the things go wrong, and it finds the ignition source, and boom, SN4.
Yes. Wow. The what was that? The ratio? Stoichiometric? I've never heard that word before.
Stoichiometric. It's a chemistry thing that I don't feel fully qualified to explain, but I think can be summarized roughly as the optimal ratio of methane to oxygen for a combustion. Because if you remember good old Mythbusters, just having methane around in the air is not necessarily going to be able to find an ignition source and ignite. It has to be a appropriate ratio of methane to oxygen, and in that case it's like a flammable ratio. I don't know, again, not qualified to explain properly.
That makes sense, though.
Vent stack is going. That looks like a D-tank.
Hmm.
We do have 3 hours left in the window, though, I feel should be mentioned. So it could be that they're going for a full recycle. VS Studio says, optimal fuel to air ratio for the most efficient combustion tends to produce the most heat and energy. There we go.
Hmm. Okay.
Smarter people than myself. Standing on the shoulders of giants, as usual. Hi. Hello, I'm Jack. So, question mark? They could go
Big
again.
question mark.
3 hours is a lot of time. However, currently looks like they are detanking the vehicle. And you can see Michael drawing a sad face there because that's how we all feel right now.
Actually, a very accurate picture of my face right now. You got all the details in there, Michael. Good job.
I hear the drone.
Ooh. Means it's returning. Or going. One of the two. It's coming or going.
Here we go says, imagine if we get a surprise suborbital hop. No, I don't want to imagine that because the height of the suborbital hop would not be like 10 kilometers or any amount of kilometers. In this case, it would be the height of an exploding starship leaping off the pad into the air before very soon thereafter crashing back onto the pad, which we don't want to see. We don't want a surprise suborbital hop right now.
Jack, with your history of jinxing things, caution you on what you say there, dude.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
What great views. I love like the just after sunset kind of dusky.
That's my favorite. Twilighty, dusky. Dusky's such a good word. This is how you know we are hours into Starship streams, is when we start discussing the merit of words.
What is a word, though? I haven't discussed that merit yet.
Oh man, this is big brain time here.
The word of a word. The meaning of a word is a meaning. And what if you can't even use non-words to describe words? Man, this is just spiraling. I better shut up.
Spiraled pretty fast.
Almost as fast as a starship.
Almost as fast as SN9 right before it crashed into the landing pad. Dick, thank you for becoming a Red Team member. Molly, thank you for becoming a Pad Rat member. Roush Designs Skunkworks, thank you so much for becoming a flight engineer. Kyle, thank you for the support. They're asking, do we live near Starbase? I know you do, Nick. I live in LA. But you live right there in Brownsville, huh?
I sure do. I live about 30 minutes away from Starbase in Brownsville. And so I get to drive out there every day and look at probably the coolest thing humanity has going on right now.
Speaking of looking at the coolest thing humanity has going on, that is an astounding view of sunset over the launch site.
A very beautiful dusky view.
Absolutely. What a sight. A little bit of low-lying haze that adds to the ambiance of everything. Absolutely beautiful. Paulus, thank you for the support. 200 Norwegian kroner saying, today I reserved my Starship plush. Thank you all, NASASpaceflight. It's so cute. I love you all. Well, thank you, Paulus. I'm actually pretty shocked we still have any of those in the store. I was pretty certain they were going to sell out rapidly, so...
That's good, because then everyone has a chance to get one. Because those little plushie dolls are so darn cute. I have one at my house, and it sits there next to my Celestial Bloody Zero-G Indicator Earthy. And it's just so much fun to have those sitting around.
Yeah, I've got one as well, and it is a fantastic cat toy, funnily enough. So I might need to get another one in case this one gets destroyed, since we still have a couple floating around there online. So don't forget, I mean, we've talked about the membership program, we've talked about the super chatters on this stream, we've also got the store. So there is an NASASpaceflight store. We do have loads of cool merch, some of it very obvious what you're going to be wearing and buying, some of it very obscure, like the spreadsheet shirt that only true Starship fans are going to know what the heck you're talking about. But definitely go check out the NASA Spaceflight store, get yourself a plushie while they still last, while supplies last. Or whatever. Yeah, right? Or whatever tickles your fancy. So thank you for that, Paul is playing.
Act now. Get free shipping. And 4 easy payments of $999.99.
Will also include this completely unrelated thing. Let's see, Tennessee Sportsman saying, why do they not do some orbital test while waiting for FAA approval? Maybe afraid of failure, messing with up the approval. That's fair. Maybe worrying about failures, angering the community. Maybe just trying to focus on building out the infrastructure for an orbital launch, which, as we know, is taking a lot of work. And you can't build out the launch site when you're launching from it.
Yeah, and need to have that launch site built out in order to facilitate our movement onto the next planet and among the stars. And quite excited to see what they're going to do around here at Starbase after they get that launch license, because I think they're going to be going for a second tower and building stuff out at Cape Canaveral. It'll be quite an exciting build for sure.
Dirk, thank you for becoming a Capcom member now. Awesome. And sorry I mispronounced your name earlier. I apparently can't see. Your name is Dirk. Thank you so much for the support. Cheatin' Joshi, thank you for the support. They say, here's a crazy idea. As Ship 20 has its hooks removed, can they hop Ship 20, capture it on the chopstick, and place it over Booster 4? That is a crazy idea because the chopsticks are not yet operational, and also it's crazy for a variety of other reasons, but I'm going to say no. Sorry to burst your bubble there.
It would sound like that would work, though. But, yeah, we'll see what they do with those mounting points and those chopstick movements. We still haven't seen the chopstick move. I'm still waiting for the chopstick to move around. That'll be,
right?
Be quite the exciting day when that finally moves. Hopefully I'll be there. Jeez, missing so much.
Here's a question for you. Do you think that they would test the chopsticks with Booster 4 on the mount, or do you think they even can? Or is that the sort of thing where they'd have to pull Booster 4 off, then do chopstick stuff in testing, and then put Booster 4 back on?
Yeah, I don't know. I used to think that there was a pretty simple path to orbit here, but as soon as the FAA yesterday announced that they weren't going to be done until maybe the end of February, it's like, oh boy, they're going to have to invent more things to do down here. So I wouldn't be surprised if they took off Booster 4 and rolled it around, maybe worked on it for a couple days, and then used the chopsticks to move it around as well. So we'll see what they end up doing, but I bet you that the chopsticks will get used to start mounting things, because I don't think they could do a full stack without the chopsticks at this point, because they got rid of Frankencrane, and Frankencrane is over in Corpus Christi building a bridge right now, and SpaceX crane, the new SpaceX crane, is strong enough. It can lift the weight of a full Starship for sure, and it can also lift a full, an empty booster, not a full booster, but an empty booster. But it's not quite tall enough with the current boom configuration. Now, they could use a different boom to kind of lift the Starship all the way up on top of the booster, but they have these nice chopsticks, which need to get tested and used, and they need to practice with that. So I would not be surprised if they do use those chopsticks to do a full stack next time we have full stack. But it could be a while away, and they do need to play around with the booster. That's a good question here. Is Apollo the dog somewhere around Starbase? You know, I have not seen Apollo the dog in a while, but I guarantee you Apollo the dog's primary residence, its home, is in Starbase. And so it is around. It's just not out and about. The little doggy likes to hide and, you know, not really be too public, because he wants to keep it special for every time that we get to see Apollo the doggy. Ooh, Cruiser Dog is mentioning the birds that are flying around. There are lots of birds. I didn't really realize that when everyone says that birds fly south for the winter, that they all end up somewhere, and evidently that somewhere is in Starbase, because oh my goodness, are there some birds down there? It's all really cool, lots of bird chirps and activity in the sky, but there are lots of birds down there at this time of year. Dirk is saying, it's very funny when English-speaking people trying to say my German name. If you would like to try to say it phonetically for us, I would love to try to pronounce your name correctly. Ah, very good question from Septic Sounds. A lot of scaffolding has come down from the tower, so maybe chopsticks testing soon-ish. I think soon-ish is literally the MO at Starbase, the mode of operation. So they always have soon-ish as the timeline. I'm pretty sure their calendars and work schedules just say soon-ish. They'll definitely need to remove the scaffolding on the tower going all the way up the tower if they want to move the chopsticks up that high. But there's really nothing stopping them at the moment from moving the chopsticks side to side a couple meters or up and down a couple meters. But if they want to go all the way up to the top and do a full stack Starship, they are going to have a whole lot of scaffolding to remove. And until they remove that scaffolding, we know they won't be moving the chopsticks up that high. For all those just joining us, we are awaiting the second static fire attempt of Ship 20 here of the day. We've had a few depresses and holds, and it looks like maybe even a complete recycle, but the road closure got extended until 8 p.m. local time, so we have just under 3 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes until the road closure that has just been extended is going to be closed. So that means that we have a potential to have another static fire. That would be 2 static fires for today on Ship 20 if that is successful. Seeing how we've had one under the belt, looked successful static fire earlier today. So we're just all waiting around, doing some good old-fashioned Texas tank watching the methane slowly leak out and the chill lines go up and down, and keep an eye out on those recondensers, waiting for Ship 20 to come to life and do another static fire. Bill G, I'm going to have to really agree with you there. Bill G says FAA's delay to February of 2022 was very sad. And I was having a really good day yesterday until I saw that on Twitter, and just everything just fell apart. And yesterday was terrible. Probably the worst day of my past few months here, just because the FAA extended it even longer. So at least we know that they're still working on it and they didn't forget about it. That would be the worst thing if the FAA was just forgetting that Starbase existed and forgetting to do their environmental assessment report. At least they're working on it. The Apollo, the Boston Dynamics RoboDog, is actually waiting for its master, the Tesla bot, to arrive. That makes a lot of sense. The robots need to start having pets because the artificial general intelligence needs to have some little doggies to run around and keep company with them. Wonderful question from Hef Williams. It says, when do you think they'll start filling the orbital tank farm with CH4, which is methane? Do they have the approvals for that? I'm not sure on the approval side if they specifically need any approvals from anyone to start testing out ground tanks. I'd imagine that they've definitely had a ton of safety inspections just from SpaceX and possibly even some of the local officials, ensuring that these tanks are safe to pressurize to the pressurizations that they do. The funny thing is with the orbital tank farm, a lot of the liquid oxygen and the methane tanks are actually sleeved inside of a larger tank section, and so they have lots of like insulation material between the inner tank and the outer tank. They have Yeah. Anyway, we're not going to be able to see the frost lines up and down on the orbital tank farm as they fill it up with methane, just because it's insulated. So we'll see when they start filling that up.
If I'm not mistaken, that material, the insulating material, is called perlite.
Ooh, perlite. Yeah, I remember when they were installing that. I was pretty confused on what it was, because they had these big bags of sand-looking thing that they were dumping into this like furnace-looking blower apparatus, and I was like, "What on earth is going on?" And Mary was like, "Oh, that's perlite, the insulator." I was like, "Oh, I had no idea that even existed."
Sure enough. Brood in 62 says, do you think Elon will elaborate as to the reason for these extra static fires? Heat shield, SN-15 flew, do you think that the FAA setback, they will fly SN-20 solo? First off, it's ship 20, as much as I hate it. But, I mean, I hope Elon would elaborate. I love whenever we get information from him on Twitter. It's always fascinating and usually very informative. But hard to say if that'll happen or not. That's kind of up to Elon. As for the FAA setback, I don't think of it as a setback. I really don't. There's so much work to be done around the site still. Again, chopsticks haven't even been tested yet. We haven't seen a ship stacked on top of a booster in a full wet dress rehearsal yet. There's so many things that have not yet occurred that I'm not really seeing this as a setback. So you might look at it differently, glass half full, glass half empty kind of thing, but I don't think of it as a setback. Though, to answer your question, do I think they'll fly Ship 20 solo? Gosh, that would be so cool. I want it to happen.
That would be.
I want that
Honestly,
so
just
badly.
fill her up. Fill her up, SpaceX. Come on. We got the Raptors under there. We even got a road closure schedule. Fill her up. Fill her up.
Just send it.
Full send.
Good question, though. That vent stack still appears to be going. On the extreme left edge of the frame there. It even looks frosty.
I'm going to just say how beautiful this all looks. What a time to be alive. We get to have live views. Like Starbase with the sunset and the tanks. Just beautiful.
I'm just so glad that they decided to do this crazy, insane, futuristic test program just off the side of a public road in South Texas. It's
Very much
absolutely
so.
amazing, the views that we get.
Very much so, and it's going to be interesting to see how SpaceX handles Starship being built down at the Cape, or the infrastructure around Ground Zero down at the Cape, because we've all gotten quite used to having these very detailed views of Starship, and the Cape just doesn't work like that.
Sure enough, it does not. That's why you gotta enjoy it for what it is while it is, because it might not always be this way. Look at that beautiful view. Can see the vent stack venting away still, making us all sad. But, like you said, Nick, good amount of time left in the window. What is it, just under an hour or 3... Oh my gosh, I can't talk.
2 hours and 40 minutes-ish.
Yeah, 2 hours, 37 minutes, 36 minutes. There we go. I'm smart. I can do math.
It just takes a minute to calculate. Everyone's expecting humans to be as fast as computers with these calculations, and it's just not the case. Especially when you're dealing with a base 60 system instead of like your normal base 10 system. It's so confusing.
When computerized brain chips, please? I would love a computer in my brain.
You know what? I think Elon should stop space stuff and maybe start up a startup company about that. Maybe get some brain chips going.
They could call it like a cool name, like because you're like linking your brain to a computer, so it could be called like
Brain link.
Brain-a-link or like Neuron Link or something. Something like that might be a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Elon, when you do that, please make sure we get paid royalties. Thank you.
Sure enough, I can't wait for Neuralink to be a thing. That's gonna be awesome.
Gonna change everything.
Sign me up.
Sign you up or beam you up?
Both, please. Either or both. I mean, we're in a holding pattern. We're waiting here. Digifix is asking, oven or pan cooked bacon? I'm an oven bacon man. Nick, what about you? I don't think I've forced you to put your mark on the map. RE
Ooh.
oven bacon or not? What's your thinking there?
I am a bacon person. I take my bacon however it is prepared. But personally, I find it easiest to cook bacon in the oven because it's just a little bit easier on the cleanup side of things. You don't have quite as much splatter all over your whole kitchen. But it does smell better when it's in a pan. So, but all in all, I'm on team bacon.
Yep. Okay. I think we can all agree we're all on team bacon. Here's a question we get a lot, which I get why it's asked and why it's thought about, but Lemire is asking, maybe they'll use Booster 3 for testing the chopsticks. I don't think so. In fact, when they scrapped the methane tank portion of Booster 3, they removed the attach points. So, remains to be seen what Booster 3 will be for, if anything, but they would have to weld on new attach points for it to be used in any capacity for a chopstick test. In fact, I mean, there's only one tank on it now. It's not like they can do a hop and hop it over there because it's just a big LOX tank now. So it would have to be lifted by a crane into the chopsticks, and then in which case, why not just use Booster 4, which is actually representative, and then you don't have to do additional work on a test article that you no longer want to be wasting time or energy doing work on. I mean, what do you think, Nick? Do you think they'll use Booster 3 for chopstick testing or nah?
I don't know. Like Booster 3 is probably the biggest question mark that I've had in a while down here in Starbase because it really makes no sense. Like we all sit here pretending to try to make some sense out of this, but it makes zero sense whatsoever because they took the time to scrap a third of it and they left the rest of it just sitting here. This corpse, this half holdout shell of a booster just sitting there, looking pretty, by the way. It does look pretty. But it's just sitting there, and it hasn't done anything. What, 4 months? I think they began scrapping it at the end of August, very early September, and it's just sat there. No one's done. I haven't seen anybody around it. Nobody's been working on it. There aren't any skyjacks around. It's just sitting there. So I just gotta wonder. Maybe it's just because they don't want to take the time to take it apart.
Yeah, I don't think it's really any big mystery or anything. I think it's just a matter of they'll get to it when they need Pad A or when they have resources and time to devote to it, and they'll get it scrapped or shipped back to the production site and scrapped there or what have you. Didn't they? I think they started scrapping it sometime around the big surge when they stacked 20 on top of 4. So it just seems
I believe it was right after because I actually I remember that quite well because I actually took a vacation and I went back home, my old home, and was moving myself down to Brownsville while they were scrapping some of the booster. And I remember being really upset I didn't get to say goodbye to the Booster 3 properly.
Yeah, that makes sense timeline-wise. And
Yeah,
so
that would have been August, late August.
That's right around the time where they sort of, seem to have prioritized against all other things getting to orbit. And so just makes sense that they just haven't done anything with Booster 3 yet.
Yeah. Looks like a few people have just joined the chat and are wondering what they missed and what's going on. So a quick update. We had one successful static fire earlier today, and we are currently sitting in, I don't know how many hours we're into this whole road closure today, but we're in a lot of hours of road closure today, waiting for them to do what we believe will be another static fire. They have looks like they've done a few attempts at it and possibly a whole recycle, but we're still waiting, and they extended the road closure from, I believe, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Central Time. So we have another 2.5 hours on the road closure.
So it's classic tank watching time. Wait and see what happens. Interesting that the vent stack is sort of, I don't know if it's petering out just yet, but it looks to be less intensity than we've seen previously or earlier. So vehicle's still very frosty though. Beautiful.
And Jack, do we know how many engines were used in the first test today?
We do not.
Okay, so mystery.
I don't think
Even
we've
better.
gotten any kind of confirmation there. It certainly looked like more than just the center engines, but I don't feel confident in giving you an exact number.
Wow.
But it did look like at least one or two vacuum Raptors were fired up as well. But again, I'm not gonna claim to know when I just frankly don't know.
Well, that is a good way to do it.
Yep. JSP is asking, what exactly is happening with Ship 21 and 22? Since the Ship 21 nose cone is being repurposed for Ship 22, does that mean Ship 21 is scrapped? They might be talking about a typo on yesterday's daily video. I don't know that we know that Ship 21 nose cone is going to be repurposed for 22. All we know right now is it seems like Ship 21 should have gotten its nose already. Right?
Yeah, we don't know what is going on, but it definitely looks like SpaceX is going full speed ahead, even though we're waiting till February for our first orbital flight. So it'll be interesting to see what they do and what ships are up next. But yeah, Ship 21 definitely looks like it's waiting for something.
Yeah, much like Booster 5, sort of just kind of in a hangout pattern. James Vickers in chat is saying, I mentioned the frost. It happens when they depress rapidly. Things get colder as you evacuate gas from a sealed container. I mean, we've talked about that. We know that's a thing, but this is just significant amount of frost still hanging out, and I'm trying to do like an A/B test as I talk, and it's definitely. Oh, be careful what I say here. It does appear to be less frost than earlier, so the frost is going down for sure.
But it's not no frost.
Correct.
Moss 3 coming in here with the important questions. Who here loves cold pizza? And I will say I am on cold pizza team.
Big fan. But you know what's even better? Hot pizza.
True. But I really love cold pizza for breakfast. That's like one of my most dangerous breakfast foods. Cold pizza for breakfast. Can't beat that.
Sounds like a recipe for some acid reflux.
Hey, I didn't say it was healthy. I said it was delicious.
Fair, yeah, it's super delicious. Definitely jealous of the Inspiration 4 crew who got to eat cold pizza on orbit. I would very much be all about that. Given the
I would go
opportunity.
just for the cold pizza. I don't need the views or anything. I'd just go for the cold pizza.
Yeah, overview effect, meh. Cold pizza.
How many hours are we into this road closure, Jack? Because it started at 10, right?
Yep, road closed at 10 local.
Wow. It's 7.5 hours, and we still have 2.5 hours to go. Long road closure day. SpaceX has been busy.
Yeah, and we're 2.5 hours into this particular stream.
Uh-oh. It's starting to come up in the chat, Jack. You pineapple pizza guy?
I wouldn't say I'm a pineapple pizza guy. I will consume pizza with pineapple on it. I will even sometimes remark on its deliciousness. but if I was going to order a pizza, that's probably not what I would order on it. How about you?
You know, that is a very diplomatic answer. You're not going to stir up any hate in the chat, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it. I love pineapple pizza. Pineapple belongs on pizza. If you don't think so, then you can at me on Twitter.
Okay, so what about cold pineapple pizza?
Cold pineapple pizza, you just sent me back in time, dude. That is like amazing.
See, I feel like that's one of the downfalls potentially of pineapple pizza is that after it's hot, it's kind of lost some of its luster in a way that standard pizza doesn't necessarily. But you know, if you like it better, you do you.
Exactly. You do you. If you don't, oh no. Everyone's saying no. So if you don't like it, you don't have to put it on your pizza. I'll eat it for you. How about that? That's the deal. If you end up with pineapple pizza, I'll eat it for you.
Okay, or I can pick off the pineapple pieces and you can eat just those. How about that?
There you go. Sounds like a plan.
All right, well, as things continue to sort of be in a steady state here, I think we're going to do what we like to do in situations like this and throw you all over to Starbase Live, which is our 24/7 live stream. That way you can keep track of what's going on, and just like us, who will be keeping track of what's going on, if this recycle actually turns out to be a re-attempt of a static fire, you better believe we'll go live again. And really quick, King of Many Worlds, or Kitty of Many Worlds in chat is saying artichokes. Okay, now that's a delicious pizza topping. Anyways, I digress. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Nick, for joining us on commentary.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Good to do some good old Texas tank watching with y'all.
Sure enough, earlier we had Ian Atkinson, and we also had NASA Spaceflight Actual Chris B, and of course, I'm going too fast, my bad. Down there in Boca Chica, of course, we also had Mary. Always out there, always spooling up the camera, bringing us these awesome views. You can see everyone's information flashing across the top of the screen there. I'm Jack Beyer. You guys know who I am. I don't need to go through a whole thing. And of course, in the background was Michael Baylor. Michael, thank you for doing all that you do. Let's all go hang out at Starbase Live. And if stuff starts happening again, rest assured, we will go live again.